You never did nothing for my son. I'm the mother. I always did everything for my son. Only time he contact me is when he drunk and he want to have sex. We just had sex 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we was drunk.
Right, that's the only way you contact me.
Throughout this pregnancy, as you prepared for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No. He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fat. Friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her. She's just fat.
You know how
So you were broken up or on a break. She was dating other people. You were dating
I wasn't dating nobody.
I can't say she was body, but I know we was both. I seen her at a party with a dude, and that was the last. That was a couple weeks before we got back together. That's the last thing I could say.
Ms. Bruton is dead sure that Mr. Martin isn't the daddy of her kiddo Logan, and she's betting all her chips on her ex, Mr. Richardson, being the real deal. She's convinced that today's DNA magic show will boot Mr. Martin to the curb and reignite the old flame with Mr. Richardson.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is. You say today's DNA test allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin, finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Martin isn't having any of it and flips the script, insisting that Ms. Bruton played him into thinking he was Logan's pops. He's all in, believing today's DNA reveal will crown him the father. Emotions are high, and stakes are higher for Mr. Martin as he awaits the results. Next up, grab your 3D glasses. The plot is about to jump out at you.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Bruton kept the baby from you in hope that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you. Today, you believe the DNA results prove you are the biological father.
Things heat up with a squabble about who Logan looks like more. Ms. Bruton stakes her claim on Mr. Richardson based on Logan's ears and nose. Mr. Martin counters with a calendar of their hookups, aiming to prove his paternity right there. The judge steps in to cut through the noise, highlighting the need for the DNA results to sort out this hot mess.
Logan looks just like Anthony. They have the same ears, eyes, nose. He don't favor Mr. Martin at all.
I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might many times she say I did, but I know 7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is.
We only had unprotected sex twice
Your Honor.
in my apartment.
It was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the...
You know it only takes time anyway.
Yes.
During the pregnancy saga, and after Logan popped into the world, Ms. Bruton admits she cut Mr. Martin out completely, all the while cozying up with Mr. Richardson, who even signed the birth certificate at the hospital. This bombshell highlights the telenovela-level scheming and potential for a legal smackdown depending on the paternity test outcome.
Mr. Richardson was at the hospital. I have no idea where Mr. Martin was because we wasn't in contact with each other.
Who signed the birth certificate?
Mr. Richardson. I didn't even let Mr. Martin know when I had Logan because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
You allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Oh.
Cue the dramatic music as the DNA results drop like a bomb.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Richardson, you are not father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
I told you.
Are the father.
Buckle up, folks. Judge Lake kicks off the session for the drama-packed case of Susie versus Payne, where Ms. Sousis has brought Mr. Payne to court. She accuses him and his meddling mother of denying paternity of her adorable 10-month-old, Aleliana. Ms. Sousis is adamant about getting Mr. Payne's name slapped on the birth certificate once the DNA confirms he's the dad. Keep your eyes peeled. It's just warming up.
Ms. Sousis, you have dragged it into court today because you say it's his mother's fault denying your 10-month-old daughter, Aleliana. You claim when the DNA results prove he is the father, you want the defendant's name added her birth certificate.
You won't believe this twist. Ms. Sousis spills the beans on their chaotic 3-year romance, blaming it on Mr. Payne's over-the-top jealousy and controlling vibes. As they air their dirty laundry, with Mr. Payne's sister, Henrietta, dipping in, it paints a sitcom-worthy picture of a super rocky relationship. Stick around, tea keeps spilling.
Why has this relationship on and off for 3 years?
So jealous and insecure about himself. Like, everywhere I go, he think I'm doing something. If I go to the store, I gotta be back in a certain time. Like, he's just crazy.
She been out there, Facebook messages.
You guys, they're both.
Of course I'm jealous. You were my boyfriend for like almost 3 years.
I would not be
You guys
jealous.
do the
She was
same
my
thing
girl.
to each.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Payne throws shade about not being Aleliana's real dad, pointing fingers at Ms. Sousis' shady escapades and a dodgy movie date with another dude right after they hooked up. The chat uncovers the unstable mess of their relationship and why Mr. Payne's got his doubt meter running high. And oh boy, just wait for what's next.
The first day after we started started talking. She went to the movies with some other guy. Facebook messages telling her ex she love him, this.
But the next day you did something with another girl and you was telling your ex you loved her, so what's the difference?
You lying in court.
Ms. Sousis, you did contact your ex?
Yeah, I said I care for him. I never said I love him. He told his ex he loved her, and I did go to the movies with a boy.
The tension's thick enough to cut with a knife. The convo shifts to when Ms. Sousis was preggers. There's a storm of doubts about daddy duties, pushing Mr. Payne to demand a DNA showdown, underlining the trust issues still at the next bit is key, so don't go anywhere.
I want to ask you to be there through a pregnancy if it's not your child.
But I was there through the pregnancy.
But you really weren't.
But I wasn't though, because you wanted to stay away.
There was a time when someone came up to me in a supermarket right to want a DNA test because she moves around. This lady, she knows. I came home and told him.
Everybody got something to say about
Right, but I don't know the lady. You understand? So it's weird for someone to just come up to me out the blue. First of all, I'm like, how does she know about me wanting a DNA test?
Grab your tissues. Ms. Sousis gets real about the emotional roller coaster of raising Aleliana mostly solo, thanks to their never-ending bickering and Mr. Payne's hit-or-miss dad appearances. Their co-parenting drama could rival a soap opera, and it only gets more tear-jerking from here.
Even if it is his, like, it took you guys 10 months just to do this. Like,
you kept her away, though.
No, I did not.
Do that.
But
how did I keep her away?
He is there. He does.
But how did I keep her away?
I didn't do nothing at all. Got
you
it. Not even
you
knowing.
come in and out her life.
You come in and out her life. You did not want me around.
I did.
Let's get some order. Why so much anger? What is going on between the two?
Because they love each other.
Here's the scoop. They dive deep into Mr. Payne's trust issues, uncovering their on-off flings and side gigs during their breaks. This soap opera-worthy backstory adds layers to their complex love and the baby drama. Don't touch that dial. The truth bomb is about to drop.
We was both doing us before we got back together. I know how she moved. You know how.
So you were broken up or on a break. She was dating other people. You were dating.
I wasn't dating nobody.
I can't say she was body, but I know we was both. I seen her at a party with a dude, and that was the last. That was a couple weeks before we got back together. That's the last thing I could say.
Were you having sex during the breakup?
No, we don't talk to each other until we decide we miss each other. Then that's it. Then that's when we have sex.
Big reveal is here, people.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Payne, you are the father.
Thank you.
Happy. Now I'm happy. Now I could be happy.
Oh boy, here we go. At the start of the episode, Ms. Jones lays it all out, accusing Mr. Fowler of not owning up to being the dad of their 5-month-old son, Adonis. She talks about her tough childhood without a dad and is determined not to let Adonis go through the same. Just you wait, it gets juicier.
Ms. Jones, you say that you and Miss Fowler have a 2-year-old together, furious that he now denies fathering your 5-month-old son, Adonis. You grew up without your biological father, and you're here to save Adonis from what you went through as a child.
And here's Mr. Fowler, no stranger to the courtroom, facing yet another paternity claim. All in on denying he's the father of the younger kid, setting the stage for some serious courtroom drama. Buckle up, because this ride's about to get bumpy.
Mr. Fowler, this isn't your first time in my courtroom. And once again, a woman is accusing you of fathering her child. Do you believe you are Amira's father?
No, I do not.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Things are getting heated now. Ms. Jones is upset that Mr. Fowler treats their kids so differently. This bit digs deep into the messy emotions and tangled relationships. Oh, and there's more drama ahead.
Ms. Jones, you're furious. He accepts one child and not the other?
Like, every time he comes to see his 2-year-old son, he forgets about Adonis. Like, when other people get in his head, Adonis don't exist. But when we all alone, that's his son.
No, I don't believe it's my child, Your Honor. I don't.
You can't make this stuff up. During a fiery exchange, Ms. Jones and Mr. Fowler throw accusations about who's doing what for the kids. It's a hot mess, and their relationship sounds like a soap opera on steroids. You gotta see what's next.
You don't help him.
That's
you
a
never
lie,
did nothing for my son.
Lying.
I'm the
Stop
mother.
lying.
I always did everything for my son. Just like you never did nothing for Kimari.
Right, whatever.
Only time he contact me is when he drunk and he wanna have sex.
Whatever. This is a lie.
We just had sex 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we was drunk.
Right, that's the only way you contact me.
Wait for it. Mr. Fowler drops a truth bomb. He doesn't love Ms. Jones and doesn't want to be with her. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. But don't go anywhere. The emotional roller coaster's just picking up speed.
I don't love her. I don't want to be in a relationship with her.
This is exactly what I had to go through ever since Barbie was a baby. He brought other females around him.
Nah.
He had another female push my son in a stroller.
How many guys I coach with in your house, though?
And none of them I slept with.
Judge Lake steps in, trying to be the voice of reason in this emotional chaos. She gives Ms. Jones some tough love and advice about self-respect and parenting. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next.
So bottom of the barrel. Once he broke off the line, I don't love you. If I were you, I'd be here for my son. Now you can keep rolling around with him and having sex with him every 3 weeks and giving yourself, let you know that you don't mean anything to him, or you can follow my lead and let me lead you out this mess towards the truth and towards somewhere where you can become the respectable young lady and the mother you need to be.
This is a full-on confrontation. Both parties are forced to face the harsh truths about their toxic relationship, with Judge Lake highlighting the impact on their kids. Keep watching, because the twists keep coming.
Were you sleeping with one or two people?
I broke up with my other boyfriend and
It was more than 2 people, Your Honor.
Ms. Jones, you are saying...
How many kids do you have?
You had another boyfriend, but you broke up with him to be with Mr. Fowler.
Yes.
Lie. That's a lie.
No, it's not.
Let's get to the timeline. Say, Mr. Fowler, the dates ain't right. Let's get to the date.
Just when you think it can't get any crazier, more secrets spill out about their rocky relationship and questionable decisions. It's a wild ride of he said, she said, and the climax is just around the corner.
During that time, I've been telling him I was pregnant already because I get my period every first of the month.
Lie.
March 1st came, I did not get my period. We had sex again March 14th. I found out I was pregnant March 24th.
Lie. Me and her had sex the day of Valentine's Day. I went to her house, I dropped my son off, I stayed and I spent the night, and I left the next morning.
You're lying. You have sex with so many females, you don't even know who.
Whatever.
Get ready for the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father.
Easy and simple.
Buckle up, folks. This is the introduction to the case of Brewington vs. Lee, where Ms. Brewington aims to prove that Mr. Lee is the biological father of her 3-year-old son, Giovanni. She claims that Mr. Lee has denied paternity to avoid paying child support. Just wait until you hear what comes next. It's a real doozy.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son, Giovanni, is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been up to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Lee expresses his doubts about being Giovanni's father, suspecting Ms. Brewington of lying and using him for financial gain. Ms. Brewington counters by asserting her certainty about Mr. Lee's paternity based on their exclusive relationship and attempts to reconcile. Strap in, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
You say you've known from day one Giovanni was not your son, and you are here to prove Ms. Brewington is a liar and has been using you for money.
You're not going to believe this bit. The couple recounts the time surrounding Giovanni's conception. Mr. Lee insists they were not intimate during this period, whereas Ms. Brewington claims they were living together and sharing a bed, suggesting intimacy likely. The plot thickens in the next segment. Don't miss it.
Not only was I only sleeping with him, we were actually working on our relationship situation. We got back together. We're working on us. So when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't think it was going to be a shock prize or anything like that.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
You don't believe you were working on the relationship time Giovanni was conceived?
No, not at all.
Your Honor, I was living with him.
Oh boy, here it comes. Ms. Brewington describes discovering her pregnancy during a routine visit for birth control, leading to disbelief and denial from Mr. Lee, despite multiple positive pregnancy tests. She emphasizes that the conception coincided with Valentine's Day, referring to Giovanni as a love baby. Hold on, because the next part is even more of a whirlwind.
Found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. They said, oh, you actually missed your last shot. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. It came up positive. I told him, he did not believe me at all. He went out and got 3 pregnancy tests, made me take all of them. They were all positive. And he was like, well, that's not my baby, because we didn't have sex.
Talk about a plot twist. As the birth of Giovanni approaches, Mr. Lee tells people Ms. Brewington is just gaining, not pregnant. Despite his initial denial, Mr. Lee shows up at the hospital post-birth, signs the birth certificate, and even names the child. The courtroom is about to get even wilder. Keep watching.
Throughout this pregnancy, as you prepare for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No. He was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fat. Friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her. She's just fat. The entire time. I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
What kind of denial is this? Mr. Lee, you taking denial too far.
Exactly.
Get ready for more fireworks. Court delves into the implications of Mr. Lee signing the birth certificate despite his denials and misunderstandings about his legal responsibilities as a father, which he did not fully comprehend. The next revelation is going to blow your socks off.
I figured when I signed it, I knew she was going to put me on child support. With the previous child that we had, I had to do a DNA test at the child support service. I figured if I sign it, they're going to take me right off after I do this. And then they said, no, we don't do a DNA because you already signed the birth certificate.
She
kept saying, not the case.
We
They told me right away we don't.
You gonna learn making babies in the country and don't know the law. Because once you sign that birth certificate, you're the legal father.
And now, the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Hold up.
I already knew. I told you.
Can you believe the drama just started? Right off the bat, the case kicks off with the juicy premise Ms. Livingston is stirring the pot big time. She's here to prove that her ex-hubby, Mr. Livingston, isn't the father of her 21-month-old cutie pie, Jordan. Instead, she's pointing fingers at Mr. Dorschlag, her former flame. Oh boy, you gotta see what's coming up next.
Ms. Livingston, you've petitioned this for a DNA test on your 21-month-old daughter, Jordan. Prove to your now husband, Mr. Livingston, that he is not Jordan's biological father.
Just when you thought it couldn't get spicier, Mr. Livingston isn't just sitting back, he's firing back, suggesting his ex is only denying his daddy status because she's got a thing for her old beau, Mr. Dorschlag. He's on a mission to prove he's the real papa. Buckle up because the roller coaster is just getting going.
Mr. Livingston, you claim that the only reason your ex is denying you are the father is because desperately wants to have a relationship with her ex-friend, Mr. Dorschlag, the man your ex-wife claims to be Jordan's biological father. So Mr. Dorschlag is waiting in the hallway and we will hear from him shortly.
This part's a real doozy. Ms. Livingston spills the tea on the whole baby-making timeline. She admits to juggling romances with both gents around baby Jordan's conception time. Then, plot twist. As Jordan ditches her dark locks for blonde hair, Ms. Livingston's suspicion grows because Mr. Dorschlag is the blonde bombshell in this saga. Hang tight. The next part is a jaw-dropper.
Around the time of conception, I had sex with another man.
But did you also have sex with Mr. Livingston? Why is it you believe that other man is your child's father?
My daughter, when she was born, she looked a lot like Mr. Livingston. She had dark hair and she had some of his facial features, but as she got older, she got blonde hair. Neither Mr. Livingston nor I have hair, but Mr. Dorschlag started to look a lot like Mr. Dorschlag.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes the sneak peek. Mr. Livingston does some Facebook sleuthing and discovers Ms. Livingston has been chatting up Mr. Dorschlag about potentially ditching him. Yikes! She's talking about making Mr. Dorschlag the new daddy figure. This tea just keeps getting hotter. Wait till you see the next bit.
And Mr. Livingston saw those messages on Facebook, and that was while I was
only
6 months
after I
pregnant.
had to go through her phone, through her Facebook app, to find out she was planning on leaving me for him.
We hadn't had the baby yet, Your Honor, and no, I did not going to leave Mr. Dorschlag. I said I'm married. He is my child's father.
Cue the dramatic entrance. Mr. Dorschlag steps into the courtroom, rocking the boat by hinting he might just be the daddy after all, thanks to some striking similarities between his baby pics and Jordan's. Despite never meeting the kiddo, he's kept tabs through photos. Hold on to your seats because the truth bomb is about to drop.
Yes,
do you believe you are this child's biological father?
Your Honor, in a way, I do believe it because the eye color and the hair color of the kid. I have sat down and looked at my previous baby pictures and baby pictures of Jordan. I have came to the conclusion because of the hair color and the eye color, we do look similar.
That's exactly how I feel.
Here it comes, the moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court. Her biological father is Mr. Livingston.
I just wanted to know for sure.
So, here's the scoop. Ms. Sanders, you kinda let another dude sign the birth certificate of your 6-month-old Caleb. Plot twist, now you're saying the real dad is Mr. Jamarvis Brady standing right there. Yes, Your Honor. And boom, she's hit the court with a DNA test request to prove Mr. Brady is Caleb's pops. Hold on to your popcorn, folks.
Ms. Sanders, you admit to having another man sign your 6-month-old son Caleb's birth certificate, but now say that Caleb's real biological father is the defendant, Mr. Jamarvis Brady. Court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Brady is your son's father.
Ms. Sanders spills the beans. Mr. Brady hasn't done diddly squat for Caleb since he was born. It's been all on her. Baby food, diapers, you name it, she bought it. And that stuff ain't cheap. Does he even visit the kiddo? Hang tight, because Mr. Brady's about to drop his side of the story.
No, he has not done anything, Your Honor. I had to get Caleb baby food. I had to get him diapers, clothes, everything. That is not cheap. Came through the neighborhood one day,
reason why
and he asked me if he could see my baby.
Why take care of a baby that's not mine? I don't care about the baby being pretty. I care about if the baby mine or not. I take care of my responsibility, not another man.
Here comes the eye color drama. Mr. Brady doubts he's the father because of Caleb's green peepers. Nobody in his fam has them. Exhibit A. His entire lineage apparently missed the memo on green eyes. Oh, and the crowd's getting a good laugh. But wait, there's a plot twist with Ms. Sanders' eyes coming right up.
The first thing is the green eyes. No one in my family has green eyes. May I show you, Your Honor? Starting with my grandparents. My grandma don't have green eyes. My granddaddy don't got green eyes. My mama or my daddy. I'm trying to figure out where these green eyes come from that's on this baby, because it ain't my family.
It's getting real. Mr. Brady and Ms. Sanders are airing out their dirty laundry. Breakups, makeups, and baby drama. Oh, and Mr. Brady's been sulking because Ms. Sanders bounced back to her ex. The saga continues, and Ms. Sanders' mom is about to step into the ring to throw some punches, verbally.
He saying he don't want me, but he constantly texts my phone, somebody, so what's up?
I come to the house, dudes coming and going all the time. Like, I left her house.
I left her house coming and going, but you
I left her
the house and the dude.
So you telling me that if you see somebody with your girlfriend, you ain't gonna get mad and try to fight?
My girl. We was broken up.
So you ain't gonna get mad and try to fight? Stories are not matching up. It don't make no sense.
If I was to
see... Enter stage left, Ms. Durham, Ms. Sanders' mama, ready to set the record straight. She's been picking up Mr. Brady's slack, buying all things baby. And just when Mr. Brady thinks it's all about the potential, Ms. Durham is about to give him a reality check. Fasten your seatbelts. The DNA results are coming up faster than you can say Maury Povich.
This is my first time ever seeing him. Since Caleb's been born, myself and my husband step up. We buy this baby everything when she needs help. We step up. I called Mr. Brady and I said, this is ridiculous. Caleb is 6 months old. You're gonna step up. When are you gonna participate in raising your son?
That's what the dad's for. I'm not.
Yeah, but
I'm not taking care
of
another
you just
man's
said
child.
all she is my potential child's mother.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this Mr. Brady. You are not.
I told her that.
Sit down.
I told her.
Sit down over there.
Hello, daughter. Come visit me and my wife.
Right.
Let me take you and meet all my friends. After the fact, what? That you accepted me as your daughter. You bring me down there with my kids. I meet your coworkers. I meet your family.
What do you need to ask the man you believe to be your father?
When you're in foster care, and you're 2, you know what I mean? You're raised by somebody else's family. You have to grow up with people making fun of you. And it makes me angry because the simple fact is he's saying, okay, I'm not the dad. If it was so bad in the beginning, why did you even stay?
So when you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant. And then I had a teenage friend that was pregnant also at the time.
Wow, so you're so young that when you become pregnant, you don't even know. And it was another friend of yours that was also a teen that says, I think you're pregnant too.
That's right.
This whole thing kicks off in the most unexpected way. Ms. Ashley jumps right in and says she's been on the hunt for her biological dad for years, and she's convinced Mr. Bullock is the guy. She claims he welcomed her at first, but then did a total 180 and rejected her, just like when she was a kid. She's 100% sure he's her father and is here to prove it. Get comfy because this story is just getting started.
Ms. Ashley, you say that after years of searching, you finally located the man you believe to be your biological father. You say that after finding Mr. Bullock, he embraced you as his daughter before cruelly rejecting you the same way he did when you were a child. You say you have no doubt he's your biological father and plan to prove it today.
Things get really heavy as Ms. Ashley talks about how rough it was growing up without her parents. She was put in foster care at 2, adopted by a single woman at 6, and always wondered why her biological parents weren't around. Even though her adoptive mom was great, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. But trust me, the fireworks really start when Mr. Bullock starts talking.
Well, at age 2, I went to foster care. At age 6, I was adopted by a single woman. She gave me a good life. She gave me a real good life, but we bumped heads a lot because I always knew I was adopted. I always knew I had a father out there and a biological mother. It was always a hard time, growing up. I played basketball, I ran track. All of my friends, they had their fathers there rushing out of work.
Mr. Bullock comes in hot, saying he doesn't even think Ms. Ashley is his kid. Yet somehow, he still kept in touch with her after she found him on Facebook, which is kind of confusing. He says he only wanted to reconnect because he loved her mom, even though he's been doubting the paternity all along. The next part?
Well, when I found him, which was on Facebook, I wrote him an email on Facebook, told him, if you know who I am, please contact me.
This is it. It says, my name is Ebony Ashley. I was born to your mother's name. I have a brother by the name of, and that would be your brother's name. Can you please contact me? I'm not asking for anything from you. I would just like to talk.
Absolute chaos. Ms. Ashley is not having it. She explains how Mr. Bullock invited her into his life, introduced her to everyone, and made her feel like his daughter until he pulled the rug out from under her and said he wasn't her dad. She's beyond frustrated, calling him out for only playing the dad role when it suited him. Things are getting heated, but you won't believe what comes next.
Hello, daughter. Come visit me and my wife.
Right.
Let me take you and meet all my friends. After the fact, what? That you accepted me as your daughter. You bring me down there with my kids. I meet your coworkers. I meet your family.
I wanted her to be my daughter. I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate. So now she's back into my life. Here it is.
Okay, so how embarrassing is this? Tell him, bring him to my family, meet everybody in my family, meet my kids, and now he's screaming he ain't my daddy.
Mr. Bullock steps it up with a timeline that will have you scratching your head. He pulls out this chart to prove the math just doesn't add up for him to be Ms. Ashley's father. According to him, she was born 4 months after he met her mom, and there's no way she could be a full-term baby. Ms. Ashley isn't buying it. it, and the tension is through the roof. But just wait, because his next excuse involves something wild.
I met her mother right here. That's why I met her mother in July now. Ebony was born in November, so I figured she was born in November that early. She should have been an incubator or something. She was 9 pounds.
I was 9
That's
pounds.
mine. I mean, come on. I use your words,
5
Donna.
pounds.
That is a huge window.
Ebony was born just 4 months
Yes, ma'am.
after you met her mother.
Things take a wild turn when Mr. Bullock blames it all on a military accident. He says a grenade went off during training, which messed up one of his testicles, and the doctor told him he might not be able to have kids. This is his big reason for doubting he could be Ms. Ashley's dad. But hang tight, because the DNA results are coming, and it's about to get real.
When I was in the military, we was doing training. What we used is practice grenades, and one of them went off. One of my testicles got destroyed, and the doctor said that it's a chance that you won't be able to bear any kids.
Do you have any other children?
No, ma'am.
The big reveal is finally here, and it's a total shocker. The DNA test results come in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Bullock, you are not the father.
The case of Thompson versus Robinson and Fresneda kicks off. Mr. Thompson is trying to prove that he, not Mr. Fresneda, is the real dad of Ms. Jasmine Robinson. But the craziest part, Ms. Robinson has no clue that someone else might be her father, and trust me, only gets wilder from here.
Mr. Thompson, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Fresneda, to court to prove that you, not he, fathered Ms. Jasmine Robinson. You've never met Ms. Robinson, but say today you'll prove she's yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinson says she never had a clue that another man might be her dad. She grew up with Mr. Fresneda, who always treated her like his own daughter, and she never heard a peep about any of this from anyone. This is her first time hearing that, oh yeah, maybe someone else is her biological father.
I would have never suspected that my dad, that I know as my dad, to not be my dad, because he never treated me no different. So I would have never suspected.
Now, he says he heard things from your family members. You've never heard those murmurings, whispers through the grapevine?
Nobody never told me anything. They just left me in the dark. Nobody said nothing to me about it.
Mr. Thompson explains that he's only now coming forward because he heard that Ms. Robinson's mom had passed away. He says that even though Ms. Robinson's mom always denied it, he believes deep down that he's her dad. And now, after all these years, he's finally ready to prove it.
Sorry to say, but I got a phone call saying that she had passed away. And I was like,
Are you speaking of Jasmine's mother, Ms.
yeah,
Robinson?
it was her wishes to say that it was Mr. Fresneda's baby. They raised her, but I'm here today to prove that I am the father. In my heart, she's my daughter.
Ms. Robinson remembers getting a message from Mr. Thompson in 2015, where he casually says, oh hey, I might be your dad. At first, she thought it was some sort of joke and didn't take it seriously, but when she tells her Aunt Felicia about it, things get real, and she finds out that this joke isn't so funny after all.
5 years later, in 2015, he had reached out to me again. I have a copy of a Facebook message.
This is a Facebook message?
Yeah, sent me saying like, hi, do you know who I am? And I had said no. And then that's when he had started explaining the situation of how he's supposed to be my dad and not George. And it was a big secret. And like everybody knew, but nobody said anything about it.
Ms. Robinson asks Mr. Fresneda if he knows about this whole other dad situation. Turns out Mr. Thompson did come around years ago, claiming to be her father. But Mr. Fresneda loved Ms. Robinson and her mom so much that he decided to just raise her as his own. He never questioned it because for him, love was all that mattered.
Fresneda, you asked him?
Yeah, and I had told him, I said, Dad, there's this guy named Ladner Thompson saying that he's my dad. And my dad was like, what's his name again? And then I said Ladner Thompson. He had said kind of the same story that my Aunt Felicia told me. He said that he had came around saying that he was my dad, but my mom was saying no, and he loved my mom so much and just loved me so much that he just always said I was his daughter.
She points out that families do stuff like this all the time, making choices they think are best for the child, even if it means burying some truths. It's not always right, but it's what people do out of love and protection. This moment is a real eye-opener because it shows how emotions can get all mixed up in situations like this.
Now, my point I'm trying to make in here, Your Honor, that I wish that he would have addressed me before he sent her a Facebook. I know he couldn't be able to find me because we had no contact with each other. He lives in one town and I live in another.
You are not the first family that's come into this courtroom. Share a story like this. There was a decision made at a certain time she probably thought was best for her child.
Aunt Felicia, Ms. Robinson's aunt, takes the stand and confirms that while Ms. Robinson's mom always said Mr. Fresneda was the dad, Felicia herself had doubts. She noticed that Ms. Robinson didn't really look like her siblings and thought there might be a chance Mr. Thompson was the real dad.
She always denied it. If we brought it to her attention, she always said that Ladner was not Jasmine's father.
So why were you bringing it to her attention?
Because as Jasmine was growing up, I started seeing a little difference in the children because Sonia always was very at point. She would get angry.
This is the first time Ms. Robinson and Mr. Thompson meet in person. There's a lot of mixed feelings. Mr. Thompson is hurt but happy, and Ms. Robinson can't help but wonder if she would have ever known about him if her mom hadn't passed away. The whole thing is just packed with raw, emotional vibes.
First time I ever laid eyes on her.
How do you feel as you look at her?
I feel hurt. I also feel happy. Respect Georgie, you know, I know each other. We're not strangers, you know, but I think it just had to come out, you know, and
I honestly feel like if my mom didn't pass away, that this wouldn't have came out. I honestly feel like if my mom was here today, I wouldn't even know of him.
She admits that she walked in totally sure that Mr. Fresneda was her dad, but after hearing everyone's stories, especially her aunt's, she's left unsure of anything. This moment really shows how much this situation is messing with her head, and she just wants to know the truth.
You walked in today convinced that Mr. Fresneda was your biological father because that's what you were told. Of Mr. Thompson, of your own aunt, your mother's sister. Does this in any way change your perspective?
Yeah, because now I don't know.
I can contest that we're all confused, you know, we don't know. And that's why we're here today, find out the truth.
To me, she's my child, and she's always gonna be my child.
The DNA test results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Thompson. You are her father.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, buckle up because this case kicks off with some seriously awkward family drama. Judge Lake introduces the case, where Miss Hayslip is asking for a DNA test to figure out if Mr. Hayslip is her real dad. She's thought he was her dad forever, but he's never been around, and now he's here saying, nah, not me. Oh, and if the test says she's not his kid, he wants her to change her last name. Things are about to get spicy, and trust me, it's only getting weirder from here.
Ms. Hayslip, you are seeking a DNA test to prove that Mr. Hayslip, the defendant, your biological father. Yet you say he has never allowed you into his life. You acknowledge that your mother may have had sexual relations with multiple men at the time of your conception, but you claim you were always told that Mr. Hayslip was your father.
This is where things go from awkward to straight up wild. Mr. Hayslip gets pulled over, and surprise, he finds out he might have a kid. So there he is, driving along, minding his own business, and the next thing you know, he's getting arrested for not paying child support. He didn't even know he had a kid, let alone that he owed 19 years of support. Wait until you hear what happens next. Seriously, this story is just getting started.
I had moved from southern Michigan to northern Michigan. I was on my way back, about a 200-mile trip to southern Michigan. I was pulled over for speeding, and he said, you have a failure to pay support.
And this was the first time you're driving along routine traffic stop and they say this to you?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, they handcuffed me, and when they did, I was pretty mad, and I struggled a little bit with him.
Okay, now it gets confusing. Mr. Hayslip starts pulling out calendars and timelines, trying to prove that the math just doesn't add up. He says he was with Miss Hayslip's mom in October and November. Miss Hayslip was born at the end of September, so the timing seems all wrong to him. He's convinced there's no way he's the dad, but don't get too comfortable. Things are about to take a sharp turn.
According to this calendar, you were intimate with Miss Hayslip's mother in October and November, and that would put the latest expected due date, that would be in August, around the 20th. But Miss Hayslip was born at the end of September on the 25th. So you're saying that
I believe her time of conception would have been December or January.
Plot twist. Miss Hayslip figures out she might be related to someone she knows at school. She tells the court about meeting Courtney Hayslip in class. And when she says her dad is David Hayslip, Courtney's like, wait a minute, that's my dad. Then Courtney goes home, tells Aunt Susie, and the whole family secret unravels. Trust me, school bus rides must have been super awkward after that.
I met one of the Hayslips in school, and I told her that my dad was David, and she also said that was her father. And she went home to my Aunt Susie and told her that she met me.
Up until that point, you all going to the same school and don't know you're potentially sisters?
For a long time, they rode the same school bus and didn't even know it.
Can I jump in with that?
Mr. Hayslip, how did this happen?
She had different last names.
Oh boy, this one's a doozy. Mr. Hayslip is not happy about what happened next. His sister Susie decided to bring Miss Hayslip to a family gathering without telling him, and he's fuming. He feels like it was way out of line since he hadn't even accepted her as his daughter yet. But hold on, the family drama is only heating up, and it's about to hit the fan in a big way.
What really happened is she brought Celeste family gathering this was before, I'd never seen her. She brought her to a family gathering, took it upon herself to bring her to a family gathering without me being there, without me knowing about it, and telling my kid kids, my mom, my whole family, and friends that that was my daughter.
Get ready for the feels, because Miss Hayslip's story about foster care is heartbreaking. She talks about how she ended up in foster care and how much it hurt when Mr. Hayslip supposedly refused to take her in. 5.5 years, she felt totally abandoned by the person she thought was her dad. But hang tight, things are about to get even messier when Mr. Hayslip speaks up.
What was your childhood like trying to manage this kind of information?
I've grown up as him as my father, her as my aunt. When he said that he would not take me because of foster care, that also hurt me so bad. Because I went to foster care for 5.5 years because he said no.
And before you were placed in foster care, they came to Mr. Hayslip and asked if he would take you.
Yeah.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more awkward, here comes the next round of family arguments. Mr. Hayslip goes after Miss Hayslip about her past troubles with the law, saying it's one of the reasons he didn't want to be involved. But Judge Lake steps in, reminding him that Miss Hayslip didn't exactly have the easiest childhood, and maybe he should cut her some slack. Family drama is on full blast, but you won't believe what's coming next.
I had a job.
How many times have you been arrested?
Twice.
For what?
Assault and battery.
You think I want that influence around my other children that are going to college and going to school?
We have heard in this courtroom today an account of a childhood that I don't think you'd wish on any of your children.
You're right.
Or any person.
You're right.
You have to understand that at least.
This moment is huge. It's the one we've all been waiting for, and boy, does it deliver. The DNA results come in, and guess what?
When it comes to Celeste Hayslip, Mr. Hayslip, you are her father.
Okay, this whole situation is honestly pretty wild right from the start. The episode kicks off with a case between Hardy and Lynn. Mr. Hardy is here claiming he's the biological father of 26-year-old Taylor. Taylor's mom, Ms. Lynn, is like, not so fast, because there's another possible dad in the mix. Things are already looking messy, but trust me, it's about to get even crazier.
Mr. Hardy, you are here to prove what you have always known, that you fathered the defendant's 26-year-old daughter, Taylor. You say your belief was proven to be true after Taylor learned another man was not her biological dad here in this courtroom.
Wait, it gets even more confusing when Hardy starts accusing Ms. Lynn of some serious manipulation. Mr. Hardy says that Ms. Lynn has been messing with his life for years, stopping him from being a father to Taylor. He's like, I've always known she's my kid, and is ready to prove it. Ms. Lynn, though, is like, well, there's actually another guy, so pump the brakes. Just when you think it's already enough, the story is about to take a whole new turn.
Mr. Hardy, you say Ms. Lynn is a master manipulator who has stopped you from being a daddy to your little girl. Ms. Lynn, you claim the plaintiff is not Taylor's biological father, and you intend to prove that today.
There's a possibility between him and one other person.
So, Mr. Hardy, you say you've always known you were Taylor's biological father?
Yes. Can you believe Taylor found out about this whole situation on Thanksgiving? Like, talk about awkward family dinners. Taylor explains that she thought Mr. Jennings was her dad her whole life, but at age 23, her boyfriend casually points out that she looks more like Mr. Hardy. She gets curious, messages Hardy, and boom, he's like, yup, it's me. And if you think that's shocking, just wait for what's coming next.
So how did you find out that he might be your biological father?
It was Thanksgiving. I think it was maybe I was 23, right around there. I had asked my mom, my boyfriend she didn't want to talk about it, and she locked herself in her back room. And then so I was just like, well, I'm going to take it upon myself, get in touch with people that was her friends.
And so you reached out to him and you
Yes.
submitted that message to the court.
Yes.
Man, watching Ms. Lynn's reaction here is both intense and kind of sad. Ms. Lynn talks about how hard it's been for her, raising Taylor with another man while keeping all this hidden. She says it hurts her to see Taylor and Hardy getting closer now, but she admits she made mistakes back in the day. This is some heavy stuff, but trust me, we're not even close to done with the twist yet.
It hurts me for her because she grew up knowing the man I was married to as her father. I hate it that he didn't spend that type of time with her. All I can do is make sure that she knows, regardless of what happens here or who raised her, she's my daughter and I love her.
In your heart, you do know, wrong or right, you felt like this was well-intentioned. You were a young girl. Quite frankly,
I made a lot of bad decisions for a lot of good reasons.
Hold up, because now Mr. Bryant comes in with his own jaw-dropping revelation. He says Ms. Lynn told him during her pregnancy that he might be Taylor's dad, and for 26 years, this has been weighing on him. He's like, I never got the chance to be her father. And everyone in the courtroom is like, whoa, this story is just layer after layer of drama, but we're almost at the moment of truth.
With standing at the kitchen sink, washing dishes, she told me she was pregnant and I could be the possibility of being a father.
What was that like, knowing and feeling like you have a daughter, being denied the access?
26 years is a long time, wondering if she's mine or if she's not, you know?
Legally, you have no rights.
Right, but on my second daughter and everything, I made that right.
Here comes the big moment that everyone's been waiting for. The DNA results finally get revealed, and guess what?
Taylor's biological father is Mr. Bryant.
Yes! Yes, I told you!
Okay, this starts wild right off the bat. The episode kicks off with Miss McGraw dropping the bomb that she thinks Freeman McGraw Jr. is her actual real-life dad. She found him recently and dragged him to court to settle this for once and for all. But plot twist, Mr. McGraw denies being her dad, saying he was away on military duty at the time. Oh boy, this is just the start. Things are about to get messier than a middle school cafeteria food fight.
Ms. McGraw, after growing up in the foster care system just 4 months ago, you found the man whom you believe to be your biological father, the defendant, Freeman McGraw Jr.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you've brought him to court in order to prove that he is your father.
You'd think having a birth certificate with the dude's name on it would solve everything, right? Wrong. Miss McGraw comes in strong, showing off her birth certificate with Mr. McGraw's name listed, and even a cute little family photo. But nope, Mr. McGraw is like, I never signed that thing. That's my ex's handwriting. So now we're like, okay, did someone forge the papers or what? Get ready, because Mr. McGraw has more to admit than you'd expect.
My father, growing up, I had my birth certificate, so he was the only person that I've ever known to be my dad.
So this first item of evidence is a family photo.
So, you can imagine, there's no other way that I can think that someone else is my dad, if I'm presented with a picture like, hey.
And then I look on this original birth certificate and I see Freeman McGraw Jr. listed as father.
Yes.
Here's where you start thinking, wait, so he was kind of her dad, but not really? Mr. McGraw admits he was in her life and took care of her family. He's like, yeah, they had no one else, so I stepped up. But then he drops the bomb that he knew he wasn't her biological dad. Her mom told him a couple of times, and yet here he is, being the dad. Just when you think things can't get more confusing, Miss McGraw brings up a good point that'll have you thinking, why didn't anyone ask for a DNA test?
Mr. McGraw, in this family photo, you admit that is you.
That's me, yes.
It looks like a happy family.
I stepped up, to try to do the right thing because those kids didn't have anything. That's her understanding. That's her mom told her a few times during the course of our relationship. Mother would get angry, tell me I was not her father.
Okay, so now we're all wondering, why on earth didn't anyone think to do a DNA test? Miss McGraw straight up asks Mr. McGraw why he never bothered to get a test if he didn't think he was her dad. He's like, I was already taking care of you guys, so what was the point? Maybe to know for sure? But here's the kicker. He also mentions that her mom had been with other guys, which really stirs the pot. And speaking of other guys, you won't believe what he says next.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't ask for a DNA test? I'm not gonna
ask for a DNA test because I was still taking care of you guys.
Right, but if you believe that you weren't my dad, why didn't you just ask her for a DNA test versus me having to go through what I went through? Like now that I'm a grown person and I'm sitting there trying to figure out who my dad is, if you believed you weren't the dad, to spare me just
because
that
your
much.
mother was something else. She put me through a lot.
Now this is where things take a sharp turn into soap opera territory. Mr. McGraw says he heard that Miss McGraw's mom was messing around with some guy named Bill. Yeah, Bill, like the most random name ever. And Miss McGraw is sitting there like, who the heck is Bill? Mr. McGraw claims he even confronted Bill, and Bill basically wanted nothing to do with the situation. Just when you think this can't get any weirder, Miss McGraw talks about growing up in foster care, and it's heartbreaking.
And this lady told me, she says, I never met you before, so I didn't know what type of person that you was. So I'm going to tell you that your girlfriend, she's been sleeping with a guy named Bill.
Really?
So I confronted him.
Did you ever hear about a guy named Bill?
Never. I have never heard of anybody with the name Bill, Bob, him.
I confronted this man, and he told me that he didn't want anything to do with her or that child.
This part gets heavy, but also makes you go, wow, how did things get this bad? Miss McGraw shares how she grew up in foster care and spent her whole life wondering why her dad never came to get her. She had to deal with all the hard stuff, like other kids picking on her for not having parents around. Her grandma even tried to track down Mr. McGraw, but no luck. But don't worry, Mr. McGraw is going to throw his side of the story at us, and trust me, it's a lot.
What do you need to ask the man you believe to be your father?
I was told a different story. I was told they fought a lot, and she was tired of the fight, and she left. When you're in foster care, and you're 2, you know what I mean? You're raised by somebody else's family. You have to grow up with people making fun of you. And it makes me angry because the simple fact
this. He's saying, okay, I'm not the dad. If it was so bad in the beginning, why did you even stay?
Here's where Mr. McGraw is like, whoa, hold up. I didn't even know she was in foster care. He says he was living in California, minding his business, when Miss McGraw's mom called to apologize for everything. But when it comes to the big question about paternity, she apparently never cleared it up. Miss McGraw isn't having it though. And she's like, why didn't you come look for me? And now that we're here, the DNA test is about to drop. And trust me, it's a game changer.
So I had a close relationship with my grandma, you know. I didn't see my mom. I only saw her like twice. Mom or somebody's social security number or something where she couldn't find him. So they were like, okay, well, the last that we knew him to be in California, you know, and then she passed away. So, you know, I couldn't go from there with any, you know.
Mr. McGraw, did you hear about any of this? Any of this? Did you know she was in foster care?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Okay, this is the moment we've all been waiting for, the big DNA reveal. The court finally drops the DNA results, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McGraw, you are not her father.
This moment was like someone dropped a truth bomb, and everyone's just staring at the wreckage. The case kicks off with the shocking news that Mr. Cooper's mom, Ms. Cooper, held onto a huge secret for 34 years. Turns out, the man Mr. Cooper believed was his dad isn't even his biological father. Ms. Cooper then drops the bombshell that Mr. Newby might actually be his real dad. Imagine getting a 3 a.m. call for that kind of news. And trust me, the surprises are just warming up.
So this case is about 34-year-old paternity secret. We hope we can bring some resolution today. Mr. Cooper, your mother recently came clean that the man you believe to be your dad is not your biological father, and the defendant is.
Okay, imagine keeping a secret this big for that long. It's seriously wild. Ms. Cooper explains how she kept this paternity secret for decades because she was scared and confused when she was a teenager. She admits that this huge weight had been pressing on her for years, and she finally just cracked and spilled the beans. Honestly, it's shocking she could hold on to it for 34 years without losing it. But wait, the story gets crazier when she reveals how she found out she was pregnant in the first place.
You kept this secret for 34 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you made the call,
I mean, I really didn't know how Dante was going to take it, but it was something I had to get off of my chest. I had to let him know.
Why keep a secret for 34 years?
I was very young, a teenager, when this all happened. Like me and Mr. Newby, we were very good friends back then. If I told my parents that Mr. Newby was Dante's dad,
you'd think someone would notice they're pregnant, right? Well, not Ms. Cooper. She didn't even know she was pregnant for 5 whole months. She explains that she was so young and clueless that she had no idea what was going on with her body. In fact, it wasn't even a doctor who told her. Her friend figured it out. Can you even imagine? Now buckle up, because Mr. Newby's reaction to all this is next level.
So when you found out you were pregnant, who did you tell?
I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 5 months pregnant. And then I had a teenage friend that was pregnant also at the time. And she was kind of the one that told me that she thought I might be pregnant too.
Wow, so you're so young that when you become pregnant, you don't even know. And it was another friend of yours that was also a teen that says, I think you're pregnant too.
Yes, sir.
Ever had one of those moments where you just want to throw your phone across the room? That's probably what Mr. Newby felt when he got a Facebook message saying he might have a 34-year-old son. He's totally blindsided and can't believe it. He never even saw Ms. Cooper pregnant. Mr. Newby's sitting there, scratching his, wondering how this could even be possible. Just wait until you hear what he does next after seeing Mr. Cooper's picture.
I got a message on Messenger, and I got my messenger popped up, and I looked on there and it said, "You're not gonna believe this. This is your child, real talk," with a picture of Dante on it. And I said, "What?" And then I texted her back, and she didn't say nothing. And I said, "You can't drop a bombshell on me like that." She finally responded. Then I said, "Does he know this?" I said, "Because how could I be the father? I never seen you pregnant."
So you never knew she was pregnant?
I never seen her pregnant.
All right, this part is straight up hilarious. Mr. Newby shows his family a photo of Mr. Cooper, and they're like, "Yep, he looks like you." Everyone in the courtroom is nodding along, pointing out the similarities. Even the judge cracks a joke about them both having a toothpick hanging out of their mouths, like it's some sort of family tradition. But don't get too comfortable. Things are about to take a sharp turn when those DNA results come in.
You see pictures of Mr. Cooper. Are you now curious?
Everybody said he looks like you.
It's interesting you all both have that toothpick sitting out the side of your mouth.
That's what I'm laughing at.
Well, I say that because my father does that too with the toothpick, and it just goes down the line. It's amazing, but a lot of men do that.
Okay, you think things can't get crazier? Well, hold your popcorn. The DNA results are finally in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Newby, you are not the father.
This man has spent almost 16 years ignoring his children while trying to pursue a rap career. Not trying to pursue his GED, not trying to go to college. I put myself 90 hours through college raising 3 children on my own. I've always done hair. This man does nothing.
I slept on the couch. I wouldn't even sleep in the bed with her. The reason why he ain't sleeping in the bed, he was never at home. He'll come home when it's time for me to go to work. How you gonna sleep in the bed and you too much in the streets? Because I didn't want to look in your face.
I have been homeless because I can't pay my bills. 66 1/3% of my check, and I can't pay rent. I can't do nothing. I don't have a life, and I have got the proof of my rares what I'm back owed.
Can you believe it? She's never even chatted with him on the phone. Ms. Dennis spills the beans that she has never seen, spoken to, or heard the voice of the dude she thinks is her dad. This bombshell kicks off her epic quest to figure out who her real dad is. Buckle up, because it's about to get even crazier.
But you have never seen him. You have never spoken to him. So today will be the very first day you will do that. And I wanted to make sure you were okay and you were prepared.
All I've known of him is these pictures that I've had my entire life. These are pictures of my mother and him at their wedding.
And so you've had these pictures, but you have not had your biological father.
Not one bit.
Hold the phone. Here's where it gets juicy. Judge Lake rolls out the red carpet with the case of Dennis versus Dennis, where Ms. Dennis is about to eyeball her supposed dad for the first time. The plot thickens as Mr. Dennis throws in a curveball, totally denying he's her biological dad. This drama is heating up, and you'll want to see what's next.
Miss Dennis, today will be the very first day you've ever laid eyes on the man you known to be your father. And I just want to make clear that you understand that Deny is your biological father. Jerome, at this time, I'd ask that please escort Mr. Dennis into the courtroom so we can begin the proceedings.
Wait till you hear this doozy. Mr. Dennis lays down his side of the story, blaming his wife's possible side adventures for his doubts about being the father. His tale is full of suspicions and unresolved drama that makes you want to grab some popcorn. And guess what? It's only going to dive deeper from here.
My position here right now today is to give her closure, being the father or not being the father, which to me, I believe I'm not, because when me and her mother were married, I was a truck driver at the time. On Memorial Day weekend, I was down in Florida. I called her phone. She is out on the lake in the middle of the night by herself on an antique wooden boat with her ex-boyfriend.
Check this out. In a plot twist, Mr. Dennis whips out evidence that he's been asking for a DNA test, which he claims got shot down more times than he can count. This stack of paperwork adds a whole layer of frustration and legal shenanigans to his story. Hold on to your seats. The next part is a real kicker.
I have requested from her mother, and I have proof for DNA test and everything else, that I have been denied by courts from her mother and everybody else.
What is this, sir?
That is proof of the DNA request that I have requested from the courts. But with her mother denying, I could not get a DNA test.
I heard the story, the full story, finally when I was 7 or 8 years old.
You're not going to believe what comes next. Over the phone, Ms. Morau fires back against Mr. Dennis's cheating claims, insisting she was faithful during their marriage. Their stories clash like superheroes in a blockbuster, with each side dishing out their version of the past.
As I recall this situation, it was not after we were married that I went on a boat with a friend, and my children were there. In fact, he let my daughter drive the boat. He's a good friend of mine.
She was dating him at the time we met.
Mr. Dennis, that you cheated with him.
She is telling
which
a
led to
fable
you
story.
becoming pregnant.
This part is a tearjerker mixed with a facepalm. Mr. Dennis drops a bombshell that he's been slumming it because of the child support for a kid he's not even sure is his. This revelation really shows how messy things have gotten. And just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, there's more drama ahead.
Mr. Dennis, you say you have been denied DNA tests that you've needed.
Yes, ma'am, for 23
something years.
I have been homeless because I can't pay my bills. 66 1/3% of my check, and I can't pay rent. I can't do nothing. I don't have a life, and I have got the proof of my rares what I'm back owed.
Grab a tissue for this one. Ms. Dennis gets real about how tough it's been growing up fatherless, questioning why her supposed dad never seemed to care. Her emotional unpacking is a gut punch of feels and unanswered questions. Just when you think it's all out on the table, there's a twist coming right up.
For a child. My father travels across state lines, drives trucks, makes deliveries, and shows up for a living. But he can't do those things for me.
I can understand.
That's what she's lived with for 20-something years. And I know you are being kind, and I know you are reserving a lot of your emotion because you're trying to be strong.
Thank you.
Here's the big reveal. Get ready to gasp.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dennis, you are the father.
Buckle up, Buttercup! The show kicks off with Ms. Nazarene throwing down the gauntlet at Mr. Rami, blaming him for bailing on dad duties and leaving her and their kiddos in a lurch. She's not holding back, accusing him of ghosting them emotionally and financially. Hang tight because the tea is just starting to spill.
Ms. Nazarene, you are here today to sue your ex-boyfriend for being an absentee father and a deadbeat dad. You say he has caused you, your 2 children, much pain and suffering by never stepping up as their father. Mr. Rami claimed Ms. Nazarene has done immeasurable to your life and career by her very difficult personality.
The gloves are off now. In a fiery exchange, Mr. Rami paints Ms. Nazarene as the queen of drama, irrational, volatile, and a nightmare to chat with. He insists her antics have made his life a roller coaster. But Ms. Nazarene claps back, calling out an incident where she claims Rami swiped $500. What's next? Oh, it's a doozy.
Complete irrationality. The decision to be overtly angry, volatile, and violent for things that I consider to be then important. Very verbally, physically abusive.
Is that true, Ms. Nazarene?
No, it's absolutely not true. He and I have had one incident where he stole $500 from me and had me and my baby in a car that had a steering column that failed.
Just when you thought it was getting spicy, Ms. Nazarene lays into Mr. Rami for chasing dreams of rap stardom instead of job applications, all while she's been hustling through college and solo parenting their trio. Don't wander off. The fireworks are just getting started.
This man has spent almost 16 years ignoring his children while trying to pursue a rap career. Not trying to pursue his GED, not trying to go to college. I put myself 90 hours through college raising 3 children on my own. I've always done hair. This man does nothing.
The fact that we might have some children together and spend a short period of time enjoying each other's company.
Plot twist. The judge jumps in to quiz Mr. Rami about his financial contributions, or the lack thereof. Rami admits he's not the most consistent with the checks, but claims he chips in when he can. Oh, snap. Wait till you hear what comes next. It's a real kicker.
First of all, she decided to move to the other side of the country without talking to me. Well, it depends on what steady is. No, I haven't sent aid every 2 weeks. No, I haven't. But when I've had a job, I have sent help. Whenever she's hit me up for money, if I was able to,
yes,
absolutely.
$100. Yes, oh, absolutely. Over the past 17, 16 years, he paid child support when he was with ex-second wife.
Hold on to your popcorn. Ms. Nazarene drops a bombshell that Mr. Rami pulled a Houdini for 3 years while she was beggars and solo with a toddler. The crowd goes wild and the plot thickens. You won't believe what's up next. It's straight up soap opera stuff.
Okay, so what happened to me being 7 months pregnant with a 1-year-old and you were gone for 3 years? Truth be told.
There was an incident. I was asked to bring the car to her because she had Messiah with her. Can you bring the car to Tarzan from Los Angeles? I tell her no problem. I would love to do that for you. Actually, what's funny is I'll tell you this story because it's more recent.
You'll need to sit down for this one. As they sling text messages at each other like dodgeballs, the tension is palpable. The texts reveal a war of words that's nothing short of a daytime drama spectacle. The next exchange? It's a cliffhanger that'll have you rolling.
I ain't downplaying. You trying to make me lose my youth because you're a deadbeat. I'm ready to smash you monsters. Your family does not care about us because we're too black-skinned to be a big fat yellow hoe to get love
and I mean it.
And care.
And that's the truth. And I meant every one of them.
Weren't they a young person? Did you say 21 years
no,
old?
No, they were
the
not
first grandchild.
You might want to grab more snacks for this part. Judge Lake calls Mr. Rami out for his laid-back attitude, which is not winning him any Dad of the Year awards. She doesn't mince words, calling him a loser in hopes of sparking some sense into him. The curtain's about to rise on the grand finale, and it's a showstopper.
Mr. Rami,
will you make that effort to see them tomorrow?
Yes.
I don't care if look, you're a writer, but don't write too on the text.
Good. Yes,
say,
tomorrow.
And then if you could just give him a time, nothing else, and then you just say, I'll be there, and then
I have my hat.
Be there. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here we go. Buckle up for a wild ride. Miss Mitchell spills the beans about meeting Mr. Jordan way back when, at a courthouse at the tender age of 7. Mr. Jordan was there for a child support gig, claimed her as his kiddo, and started shelling out the cash. But, plot twist, he later flips the script and acts like she's a stranger. This scene is just setting the table for a saga filled with more twists and turns in a pretzel factory.
The defendant, Mr. Jordan, in a house when you were 7 years old. You claim he denied paternity testing at that time and claimed you as his daughter. But since that time, he has denied used to treat you like his daughter.
Grab your tissues, folks. This one's a heart tugger. Mrs. Mitchell's here today with a mission. Find out if Mr. Jordan really is the old man or just another dude from her mom's past. After losing her mom, she's got more holes in her life than a Swiss cheese, and she's hoping today's the day she starts filling them. The judge gets it, sharing her own tale of loss, bonding right there in the courtroom. Up next, we dive into Mr. Jordan's side of the story. And oh boy, brace yourselves.
He is my biological father because I lost my mother a year ago
ago from breast cancer. I want to fill that void. I don't have no one else. It's just me.
Not knowing stepped up to the plate during that time, so I only imagine.
Let's roll out the red carpet for Mr. Jordan's grand entrance. He dishes out the backstory of their first Corthusa drama, stepping up as the father figure without any DNA proof. Talk about a leap of faith. He even got all fatherly, prepping to adopt her and everything, till Mama pulled the plug. Hang tight, because Mr. Jordan's about to drop some truth bombs about his daddy. Doubts that'll have you raising your eyebrows.
You know, and I found out about her. Hey, all I could do was step up. Saw this young lady in the courthouse. I sat down and spoke with her, and I immediately raised my hand and said, hey, we don't need a paternity test. And I told her, I say, I'm your daddy, baby, right here.
Hold on to your seats. We're diving deep now. Mr. Jordan confesses he's been on the fence about being daddy dearest since day one, thanks to a fleeting fling with Mrs. Mitchell's mom. Despite his suspicions, he tried to bond over brake pads. Yep, you heard that right. Car maintenance is father-daughter bonding. But when those brakes bailed the next day, things went south fast. Stick around to see how this mechanical mishap lays out in court.
Blow me off every time. It was like every once or twice a year when he said yeah.
I was trying to teach her how to be self-sufficient.
He stood there with me as I was doing my own brake. I left, went to work the next day. My brakes came on the freeway.
Cue the flashback music, because we're zipping back to when Mrs. Mitchell was just a 7-year-old in the courtroom. Mr. Jordan played the hero, volunteering to be her dad in front of a judge and all. But fast forward through the years, and it's like he's got amnesia or something, completely bailing on the dad duties. What's next? Watch as Mrs. Mitchell brings out the big guns with some heavy-duty evidence.
And on the bench, the judge asked me, do you know who your father is? I said no. That's when he came up and said what he said about, that's when I was like, okay, well, you my dad. So I'm thinking he about to start coming over, I'm about to be with him. I didn't see him for years. Even when my daughter passed away, he didn't call me.
I didn't know she was pregnant.
Things are getting real now. Mrs. Mitchell is not messing around, pulling out her birth certificate, which is as blank as Mr. Jordan's recent memories of fatherhood. She's laying it all out there, showing just how up in the air everything is about who her real dad might be. Don't go anywhere. The emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
I don't have his name, nothing.
So you're not listed on the birth certificate,
and also,
sir.
mother even doubted me. When I called trying to talk to, why are you calling my house and that's not your father?
But whenever she called me there to help her for whatever the reason.
No, that's a lie.
Oh boy, grab the popcorn, because Mrs. Mitchell is reading a letter to Mr. Jordan that's so loaded with emotion it could burst. She's calling him out for missing in action all these years. And let me tell you, it's more dramatic than a soap opera. As she tears into him, everyone's on the edge of their seats. Next up, we've got a sister showdown that's going to crank up the heat even more.
Even using that word brings up an image of pain. Lonely nights and years of, I never did anything to you for you to treat me the way you did over the years. There were times when I called you trying to fight in you, and all you did was laugh like you're doing now.
Ding, ding, ding! Here comes the sister fight you've been waiting for. Mrs. Mitchell and Miss Wagner, Mr. Jordan's confirmed daughter, go head to head, airing out all the dirty laundry. This isn't just a spat, it's a full-on sibling rivalry explosion, with accusations and denials flying faster than a gossip at a hair salon. Keep watching, because the DNA results are about to drop like a hot potato.
Growing up,
I'm the first one, so of course
you're always first.
I am the first one. We don't know nobody else. Don't
Whatever.
Be girl, right here, all this crap.
No, what you are
She is
fake.
not like that.
Whatever,
You gonna do what I tell you to do, because I'm big sis.
No, you don't tell me.
What's interesting are you fighting just like sisters.
And now, the moment of truth. Drum roll, please.
Mr. Jordan, you are her father.
Guess who just entered the chat? Miss Bronson, that's who? She's always seen Mr. Roberts as her dad, but bam, now she's in court to confirm it, because Mr. Roberts is starting to think maybe he's not the father after all.
Ms. Bronson, you have always known the defendant to be your biological father, but have opened your case against him to prove paternity, because he now claims he has reason to deny he is your father.
Hold the phone. Mr. Roberts thought all was well in fatherland until a few years ago when someone suggested he might not be the daddy. Enter Mr. Banks, who's also throwing his hat in the paternity ring.
You believe Miss Bronson was your firstborn 3 years ago when your world was turned side down with the news that you may not be her biological father, and Mr. Banks claims he is.
Talk about drama. Miss Bronson is all kinds of upset because her supposed dad is now questioning if he really is her dad. She's adamant, though. Mr. Roberts is her pops, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Your Honor, I feel Mr. Roberts is my father. He's the only father I've known for 29 years. That's my father, period. I know him my whole life. He don't even when I call my father, that's who I grew up known as my father. So Mr. Roberts is my biological father. That's it.
So here's Mr. Roberts, right? He's been dishing out cash for Miss Bronson's whole life, even though his name's nowhere on her birth certificate. Talk about commitment commitment.
The times I was there, and I was also on child support.
Are you on her birth certificate?
No, Your Honor, I'm not on her birth certificate.
So, Miss Bronson, all your life, the man that you were told was your father, you believe father, and you had no reason to doubt it.
Yes, Your Honor, up until 2009.
So, back in 2009, Miss Bronson's mom drops a bombshell over the phone, mentioning Mr. Banks and hinting he might be her real dad. Imagine that call, "Hey honey, remember that guy I said might be your dad?" Like, what?
What happened in 2009?
I had a phone conversation with my mother. Then she mentioned Mr. Banks, and she said, "Don't you remember the guy that I told you thought he was your father?" When she said that to me, Your Honor, it was a what moment. Like, what are you talking about? She said that he wanted to get in contact with me. I gave her my number to give to him, or she gave me, I can't remember how we actually got in contact. And then we reached out to one another.
Did you know Mr. Banks? You know who he was?
No, Your Honor.
Imagine chilling out and your fiance comes up and says, "Babe, we need to talk. You might not be Miss Bronson's dad." Mr. Roberts probably needed a stiff drink after that chat. Hang tight, it's about to get even wilder.
A few years ago, Miss Blaise told me that she needed to talk to me about something, and that's when I found out. I was kept in the dark about all this. I never knew anything about Mr. Banks. I also, spent 8 months in jail for unpaid child support, $75,000 in arrears.
You don't even get a call. Your fiance comes to you and says...
Possibility that Jasmine is not my biological daughter.
Here comes Mr. Banks with a story about a park meetup ages ago where Miss Bronson's mom hinted that he could be the daddy. And all this based on a family resemblance. Family reunions must be fun with these guys.
When did you become aware that you potentially could be Miss Bronson's biological father?
I can recall when she was about 6 or 7, and I ran into her mother, Jasmine, and her sister in the park. Then she had told me that Jasmine, my daughter then.
Oh, do you remember the words she used?
No, I don't. I just recall her saying that Jasmine was my daughter.
This whole time, poor Mr. Roberts was out of the loop about these paternity whispers. Then Mr. Banks strolls back into the picture, stirring up all sorts of family drama.
I knew nothing of Mr. Banks. I dated Miss Bronson. I even married her 2 months after Jasmine born, and I went on my business as raising, as the start of my family. But possibility, if I known that earlier, it probably wouldn't have been. I would have discontinued that relationship. And I look at it like this, as being young, I would have been like, well, I dodged the bullet. I did the best, and I took responsibility.
Mr. Roberts is feeling all the feels, upset about being the last to know he might not be the dad. He's wondering why no one bothered to clue him in sooner. Talk about feeling left out of the loop.
Yeah, because we've been on vacation, birthdays, she came down to Maryland, lived with us for 8 years, and now, she got her first apartment, which we live in this complex. I live in Benefit, and she live around the corner. So I take them to school, her children, taking them out my, we still involved in each other's life to this day. But we here to find out if I'm her biological father or Mr. Banks.
Okay, everyone, here it comes. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Robert, you are not the father.
She's still my daughter. I love you. You're always gonna be my daughter.
Here we go, folks. Mr. Redmond is introduced. He asserts that he owes over $10,000 in child support for 2 daughters, LaQuandria and Keisha Redmond, whom he claims are not his. This sets the stage for the court case, highlighting the central conflict over paternity and financial responsibilities.
Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $1,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Keisha Redmond, who you say are not yours. Ms. Patterson, you say you are 100% certain that both girls are his daughters, and you cannot wait to prove the truth.
Get a load of this. Mr. Redmond talks about his time in the slammer because of the child support debacle, emphasizing the hefty consequences he's faced. He whips out some paperwork to show Judge Lake, proving the mountain of cash he owes, and dives into the legal muddles that have turned his life upside down. But hang on, the soap opera's just getting started.
Over 19 years, I've been taking care of these kids, Your Honor. I've been going to jail, and I know for a fact that these kids aren't mine. I've gone to jail because I owe more than $10,000.
What is that, sir?
This is some from the courts where I owe over $10,000 in child support payment.
Let me see that paperwork. You all are married.
No, ma'am.
You're not married.
Divorced.
Divorced now.
You're not gonna believe this bit. Marshall steps up with some juicy evidence that hints at Ms. Patterson's possible infidelity. This includes a rather compromising scenario with Ms. Patterson and another dude, which Mr. Redmond caught with his own eyes, fueling his doubts about being the daddy. Buckle up because it's about to get even juicier.
Your Honor, as you can plainly see, her and her friend was in the bathroom, and he had his pants down.
That is a lie.
To the bathroom, Your Honor. His pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
You all were dating?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're saying that's not true?
That's not true.
Oh boy, here's a twist. Mr. Marshall spills the beans about catching Ms. Patterson in bed with another man at her workplace. This bombshell adds a whole new level of drama and complicates the story about Ms. Patterson's loyalty. You'll want to stick around because the next part is a doozy.
What is this?
I went to Ms. Patterson's workplace, but at this point in time, at her job. The front people told me where she was at, how to find her location. I went back there, find the location that they told me to go. Miss Patterson in the bed with another man, on top of the man.
Really? So this is you observing?
Yes, ma'am.
Guess what's next? The spotlight swings to Kashia as Mr. Redmond questions if he's really her pops too. He describes how frosty things got at home, including opting for the couch instead of the bed, which he reckons supports his claim of not being the father. Just when you think it can't get more tangled.
I was so furious with Miss Patterson when we left her hometown. I slept on the couch. I wouldn't even sleep in the bed with her.
The reason why he ain't sleeping in the bed, he was never at home. He'll come home when it's time for me to go to work. How you gonna sleep in the bed and you too much in the streets?
Because I didn't want to look in your face.
Now, this is heart-wrenching, but kinda sweet. Kayashia and Lequandria Redmond step into the courtroom, sharing their feelings about Mr. Redmond, who they've been told is their father all along. Their emotional accounts shed light on how this paternity mess has affected them personally, and how they feel about Mr. Redmond's dad skills, or lack thereof. But don't go anywhere. The emotional roller coaster is about to hit a big drop.
Even as children, you all don't remember?
When I was always taken to go to his mother's house, because he didn't have a house. He's always in and out of my life. He never done anything for me.
And that hurts you?
I mean, it did, but then I had to realize again that...
Has it hurt you?
When we was homeless and we had nothing, we called him and he never gave us nothing, asked for money or anything.
And now, a moment of truth. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Redmond, you are the father.
We both look alike.
All right, strap in, folks. The court kicks off with Mr. Poravecchio tossing a bombshell right out the gate. He's accusing Ms. Touche and her daughter, Ms. Lutz, of pocketing a cool $150,000 from his dad's death settlement by pretending Ms. Lutz is his sassis. He's pretty sure she's not, and that Ms. Touche has been playing the long con to snag that inheritance. Let's see how this wild ride unfolds.
Mr. Poravecchio, you claim that the defendants, Ms. Touche and her daughter, Ms. Lutz, fraudulently received $150,000 in settlement money from the death of your father, Ricky Poravecchio Sr. Cause Ms. Lutz is not your biological sister, and her mother covered up that fact.
Hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Poravecchio dives deeper into the soap opera that is his family's drama. He details how his dad met his watery end while working on a tugboat, and how it was all written off as an accident. But there's a twist. He's not buying the whole happy family picture and insists on a DNA test to prove his point. Buckle up, because there's more juicy drama ahead.
Mr. Poravecchio, how have you and your family been defrauded by the defendant?
My father was on a tugboat working and he drowned. Accidental death is what it said on his death certificate.
You're not gonna believe this part. The courtroom turns into a daytime drama as they hash out Ms. Lutz's real last name. Born Thiel, but later switched to Poravecchio to cash in on some sweet social security benefits. The plot thickens with family secrets spilling out. This inheritance tangle is just getting good, folks.
I have evidence right here on the birth certificate.
You submitted this birth certificate because originally she was named, Ms. Lutz was named Thiel. And then later on, her last name was changed to Poravecchio. You felt like she in some way affected settlement distribution?
Correct,
Tell
Your Honor.
me.
A week after my dad was declared deceased, Miss Lutz was named changed from Thiel.
Oh boy, grab your tissues or your giggles. Family members are really laying it on thick, sharing sob stories and pointing fingers about who did what at family picnics. Ms. Lutz pulls at the heartstrings, talking about her daddy issues and trying to reclaim her Poravecchio status. But don't wander off. The blame game is about to hit overtime.
Because I have never heard that I was not a Poravecchio. Got into it on Facebook. He actually met my mom at Mardi Gras and begged her to let us back in her life.
Yes, I did.
And then when we were at a restaurant celebrating my brother's birthday after being in contact for a year with her parents. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I remember it very clearly. She made my brother cry.
Can it get any spicier? Yep. Now they're throwing around accusations of Ms. Touche stepping out on Mr. Poravecchio Sr. with some mystery man. She's all denials and eye rolls, swearing it's all a big misunderstanding. This family feud is serving up more twists than a pretzel factory, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next.
When Ricky and I first met, I was somewhere around 16 years old. I mean, we just immediately, he's a handsome, good-looking Italian man. I just couldn't help myself. I fell in love, and it was just him and I, just us together. Things were great. I got pregnant. I was almost 18 years old because he started showing signs of jealousy, issues going on. We got past that.
Here it comes, the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Poravecchio and Ms. Lutz are siblings.
Thank you.
Keep up,
You run.
So he come picks me up in the stolo. I'm getting dressed or whatnot. I'm looking out the window. He like, yeah, boo, I'm out. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze. Get out the car. I'm like, really?
came to pick me up in the stolen car.
I left school 2 miles to a family's home, knocked on their door, no answer. Looked through the peephole, shadows moving all around.
No.
Tiptoeing towards the door. So I parked myself on that concrete steady for 4 or 5 hours till they had to come out.
Everybody's running out the house, and I called a guy over there one time. I knocked on the door. She's trying to hide a dude in the bathroom. Multiple occasions.
There was not no multiple occasions.
Guys.
You only seen one.
I only seen it one time, but everybody tell me.
You're not gonna believe this one. Miss Tori steps up with a zinger, accusing Mr. Goodson of bailing on being the dad to her 2 ankle biters, while Miss Henderson isn't having any of it either, claiming he's dodging daddy duties for her 4-year-old tyke too. They're both gunning for DNA tests and some wallet opening from Mr. Goodson. The courtroom's heating up with all these spicy accusations. Buckle up, there's more drama ahead.
Ms. Tori claimed the defendant is denying his father of your 2 kids. And Ms. Henderson, you state Mr. Goodson refuses to take responsibility for your old daughter. You have both asked the court to award paternity tests and enforce his financial obligation as a father.
Check out this curveball. Mr. Goodson throws a soft pitch, hoping the tests prove he's the papa, despite rumors he's been playing the field. And Miss Henderson, she's calling foul, saying the player might have hit a home run with her and his cousin around the same bases. This tangled love triangle's got more twists than a pretzel factory, and it's only getting twistier from here.
Additionally, you state Ms. Henderson slept with you and your cousin in the same time frame, and therefore you can't be sure
Which was a lie.
her daughter is yours.
My story is that I went on a chat line one day. I met his cousin on the chat line. He know that was just looking for someone to hang out with on, a regular basis.
Oh boy, grab your popcorn. So Miss Henderson spills the beans about a date gone wild, featuring a getaway car that was more stolen than borrowed. Yep, their night out flashed red and blue as the cops crashed their party. Talk about a bad first impression. Keep watching, it's about to go off the rails.
I'm like, yeah, you come see me, what's up? So he came to see me in the Stolo, which they call down in St. Louis, it's a stolen car. So he come picks me up in the Stolo. I'm getting dressed or whatnot. I'm looking out the window, he like, yeah, boo, I'm out. Next thing you know, here come the police like, freeze, get out the car. I'm like, really? You came to pick me up in the stolen car? Really? Right.
I don't know nothing about that.
This part's a real soap opera. Just when you thought it couldn't get soapier, in walks Mr. Thomas, another potential baby daddy in the saga of Miss Henderson's little one. Is he the father, or is it Mr. Goodson? It's like Maury Povich in here, but with more legal jargon. Don't touch that dial. The paternity puzzle isn't solved just yet.
It's like a one-night thing. You know how it be some night, like get drunk, be with somebody, might turn you on, just happen.
Right.
Okay, so it was a one-night stand. So either you or your cousin Goodson father.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the big reveal time. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined that when it comes to 4-year-old Lazasia, Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a wild kickoff, Mr. Matlock spills the tea that he had to dip out for family stuff a while back. While he was gone, claims Ms. Monroe got a bit too cozy and invited her old flame to crash at their pad. This drama sets up a wild ride of a court case. Just wait, it gets even crazier from here.
Mr. Matlock,
Yes, ma'am.
you say that a few years back you were suddenly called away at family business.
Yes,
While
Your Honor.
absent, you claim the defendant, Ms. Monroe, invited her former lover to move into your family home.
Your Honor, that's correct.
Hold on to your popcorn, folk. After Mr. Matlock comes back and forgives Ms. Monroe, they get back to business as usual. Boom, she hits him with news of a bun in the oven, and oh, maybe it's not his. What comes next will have you picking your jaw off the floor.
Upon your return, you say you gave her and resumed your sexual relationship.
Yes.
But then she dropped the bombshell that she was pregnant and you might not be the father of her
Exactly.
child.
Things heat up as Ms. Monroe admits she's really not sure who the daddy is. She defends her sketchy moves by saying Mr. Matlock ghosted her the whole time he was gone, making her think he was out for good. The tea gets even hotter in the next bit.
You admit that you have serious about the paternity of your child. Well, you argue that when Mr. Matt left family business, he stopped answering your phone calls, texts for an entire month.
Your Honor.
That's not correct.
In your defense, you say you believe he was never coming back again.
Yes, Your Honor.
As they dive into their rocky past, Mr. Matlock lays out all their dirty laundry, questioning the trust and loyalty in their relationship. The back and forth about his trip and her moving the ex in just adds more spice to the drama stew. Buckle up, because the next part is a doozy.
Back in 2006, when me and Monroe first got together, she knew I was back and forth from Fort Smith to Fayetteville because I had for a week.
No.
Yeah, no, it was a week.
You
You're
were
lying.
gone a month.
Anyway, Your Honor,
You were gone a month.
when I was gone for a week,
No,
she moved her ex into our home. In 1 week, Your Honor.
At what point do you find
that she's moved another man into the house.
From her.
Yikes! Talk about a communication fail. Mr. Matlock apparently turned into a ghost, not answering calls, which Ms. Monroe says led her to shuffle her ex into their home. The mess just snowballs from here, leading to an even bigger facepalm moment.
He never answered my calls. Went on for a whole month.
What number you
And
called?
so, Mr. Matlock, were you getting phone calls from Monroe and not answering?
No, Your Honor, I called her when I called her, but I don't feel like when I'm spending time with my son, I should have to drop her
Still have
every
to talk to
waking
me.
minute.
If I'm your
'cause
girlfriend, you
she's
should care.
jealous
I'm
that
not.
I'm with
If you would have gave me a
every
reason,
woman
then I
on
wouldn't
the
have
block.
you.
In a what were you thinking moment, Ms. Monroe confirms she did indeed move her ex into their love nest when Mr. Matlock went AWOL. This bombshell obviously complicates things big time once Mr. Matlock returns. Grab your snacks, because this next revelation is a hoot.
Mr. Matlock, you returned home.
Put her ex out, talked on the phone
Because I
about
wanted
the
you.
situation.
I didn't want him.
I had feeling for her. I've been knowing her since we were 12, 13. So I felt something about her. So we worked out the whole situation. I eventually moved back in the house, picking up a sexual relationship with her again.
Just when you think things couldn't get more bonkers, Ms. Monroe drops a bomb. Mr. Matlock might not be the daddy. This plot twist kicks off a wild ride through paternity court. Keep watching, because the fallout is just too good to miss.
Am I the father of the child? Who's
And
the
I
baby
was
daddy?
honored, right?
She
And
looked
what
at
did
me
she say?
and
I was
said,
honored.
"You're not father." Can't make it up. That's what she said. You are not the father. So I'm not taking care of somebody else's baby, and you tell me that baby is not my baby.
So-
You didn't say that. You are
No, I
not the
didn't.
father.
Get this, Mr. Matlock ends up on the hook for child support because he missed his court date. Talk about a bad day getting worse. The financial and emotional roller coaster that ensues is something straight out of a soap opera. The climax is just around the corner, and it's a big one.
Saying I missed my court date and I was father by default. I have evidence to prove that, Your Honor.
When that court date came up, Mr. Matlock, you're saying you never got
No,
notice
ma'am.
of when your court date
No, ma'am.
was. So you didn't show you weren't there. You were determined to be the father.
I am the father. By
And
default.
you have some paperwork.
And here it is, the moment of truth.
When it comes 5-year-old Kenya, you are not.
I knew it. Put somebody else on child support. I want my money back.
All right, buckle up for this one. Mr. Dansby finally spills why he took forever to ask for a DNA test. He blames Miss Simpson's web of lies and a mysterious other dude for his doubts about being little Denoris's daddy. The plot thickens, so stick around.
The reason why it took 3 years, man, because Miss Simpson, she had been lying to me. It was so much shade. She had another dude who she was dealing with. I mean, it was one morning I had caught.
No, what it was that I had been trying to get you to do a DNA test, but you chose to run. You didn't want to go to the child support place, do the DNA test.
Here comes Mr. Dansby trying to wiggle his way out of this pickle. The judge grills him on why it took him so long to reach out to his maybe son Denoris. Mr. Dansby blames Miss Simpson for playing keep away, which he says stopped him from connecting with the kiddo. Hold on, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Dansby, let me ask you this though. What have you made to try to get the DNA test?
Well, Your Honor, it was times where I had reached out to Miss Simpson. I had got in contact with Miss Simpson through phone. It was so much as my son. Why you brought the kid around me? Carol, another
Why
man
should
like
I have to
So
bring you?
nobody made enough of an effort to get a DNA test. That's why you're here today.
You're not gonna believe this. Mr. Dansby dishes out a soap opera-worthy morning tale where he finds out another guy is in the picture right as he's sending the kids off to school. The drama's not stopping here. Keep watching.
Man, we met through a mutual friend. She moved me into her home where she was staying there with her other two kids. Miss Simpson had another man who she was dealing with. I was getting her kids ready for school. I got them on the school bus. Miss Simpson was taking a shower that morning. I just so happened caught the phone call. It was another dude. He was shocked to hear me.
I don't
was
recall
shocked
of
to hear
that.
him. And she told me that it was the dude that was phone bill.
No.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Miss Simpson goes feeling all queasy, and boom, a pregnancy test turns positive. Mr. Dansby's suspicion meter goes through the roof because, let's face it, the timing's as shady as a large oak tree. Don't go anywhere. The roller coaster's just hitting the big drop.
After the strange phone call, she had went to visit her dad in her hometown, where he from, which is Vidalia, Georgia. Okay, we went down there. She said she was feeling sick that particular day.
And I
went to the
was.
pharmacy. She went and took a pregnancy test. She said it came out to find out that she was pregnant. I immediately
Right
assumed-
from the
So if
beginning.
you had
Right
your
from the
dog,
back. Right
if you
from the
didn't
back.
think that this baby was yours, why did you so-called put on like you was happy?
Grab your popcorn, folks. Mr. Dansby pulls out a timeline that's more tangled than last year's Christmas lights. He's connecting dots, pointing fingers, and making sure everyone knows just how mixed up this whole story is. What's next? More bombshells, obviously.
This is my timeline.
Outlines all of the lies.
We met through a friend.
In November 2011, that's when you got the old man phone call.
Yes, I got the phone call from the old dude. He was shocked to hear me just like I was shocked to hear from him.
She announces the pregnancy.
She announced that she told everyone she was pregnant. I had my doubts about it, about her being
So
pregnant.
you were doubtful again if there was something shady going on then
Yes.
too.
Here's a heart tugger. Mr. Dansby meets his potential mini-me for the first time, and it's as awkward as a high school dance. He's feeling all the feels, but mostly confusion and distance, because, well, He's been out of the loop for 3 whole years. Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving deeper.
October 2014. When you
October
say it's the
2014.
first time you met Tenoris, what was shady about that?
That was my first time ever seeing Tenoris. I feel like if she's so confident about this, my son, why it took for me 3 years for me to see Tenoris?
But I got evidence that
okay, we did
you
take
put
a
on
picture.
Facebook. It is a picture of him Tenoris where he said,
Things are heating up. Miss Simpson and Mr. Dansby go head to head like 2 rams fighting over who made less effort to get in touch. It's a back and forth of you didn't call me first. That's sure to get some eye rolls and laughs.
I really do feel deep down that she was me, man.
dodge you for what? Why would I want to dodge you?
Because you had me lying.
Child that need a father. When my child need a father.
My dad wasn't there for me when I was a kid. So I take this very I do want Tenoris to know that who his father is. I do want to be his father.
Because you don't want that cycle.
Because I want the kids of my own. I got 3 girls.
Now we're talking turkey, money. The judge breaks down who paid what for Denoris's upkeep. And let's just say it's not adding up for everyone. Mr. Dansby's been sending cash via paycheck garnishments, but Miss Simpson says it's not enough. Get ready, the verdict's about to drop, and it's a biggie.
Now, you came to court suing $3,361.56. You do acknowledge you've received $240 from Mr. Dansby.
Yes, Your Honor.
So for that reason, the court can award you $3,121.56 child rearing expenses.
Buckle up, folks. Ray kicks things off with a bang, claiming her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, is definitely the dad of her grown son. She's here to prove it once and for all, spicing up the court with her determination and the juicy details of their past. And folks, it gets even juicier from here.
Mr. Ray, you are in court proof to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, that is the biological father of your adult son, Von Lacey. You state that the defendant has been an absentee father full of excuses, and you want it all to end today in court with the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's where it heats up. Trayvon, the son in question, throws down the gauntlet, calling Mr. Lacey an absentee dad, loaded with excuses. He's all fired up, wanting today to be the day they end this drama and get to the truth. Hang tight. The courtroom's about to turn into a sauna.
Well, it's not fair to my son, and he really needs a man up, because he's depriving my child of a father. He is the father of my son.
You believe that you are not Trayvon's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Believe that from the beginning?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Just when you think it couldn't get more tangled, it's revealed Mr. Lacey's name is on the birth certificate. Talk about a plot thickener. This twist adds layers of mystery and potential chaos. You won't believe how they try to unravel this knot.
So this birth certificate, child's name, Trayvon Lacey, father's name, Larry Lacey, but it's typed in. Was he present at the birth?
He was not present, no.
You basically just gave them his name.
I gave him his name.
And they typed it in.
Yeah.
Things just got real. Mr. Lacey shares his shocker moment when he first found out about the paternity claim, leading to a surprise invitation to child support court. It's like a soap opera with legal jargon, and trust me, the drama is only ramping up from here.
Mr. Lacey, when did you find out that she claimed were Trayvon's biological father?
I say Trayvon probably was about between 3 and 6 months years old. I received court paper, State of Ohio Child Support Court. Me and Miss Torrey, we did both appear at the Child Support Court. When I walked into the court, the judge, he looked at me, he said, "That's your son, you have nothing to say."
As the plot thickens, the court digs into the child support dough Mr. Lacey has been shelling out. He confirms he's been paying up, despite the daddy drama. This bit is crucial because it sets the stage for some major emotional fireworks that are about to blast off.
And his court papers say paying child support. You
Yes,
pay
and
child support.
I have proof that, Your Honor.
But Your Honor, I want to put this to bed. I'm tired of reliving that. You know, okay, I made a mistake. It wasn't even a mistake. I was just living on my own. And he just keep throwing his man in my over and making my son feel bad. I'm ready to put it to bed. That's what I wanted and get on with our life.
Feel the tension in the air? Both sides are worn out from the drama and just want to know if Mr. Lacey is really the pops. It's a tug of war with emotions, and everyone's on edge. But hold on to your seats because the truth bomb is about to drop.
Nor is my intention to make Mr. Torrey feel bad. The thing I want to know is the truth.
There is, in fact, a real question of paternity. Both sides acknowledge. You presented this evidence to the court, which indicates that you owe $37,200 and some odd dollars in child support.
You're down to $5,000.
You've got about $5,800.
Get ready for some gossip. Ray spills the tea on how she and Mr. Lacey first got together, complete with the steamy details of their early flings. It's a real tell-all moment that sheds light on their rocky romance. And folks, you're gonna want to stick around for the blockbuster DNA reveal.
I just moved in town. I got my new apartment. I was feeling all grown in my apartment, doing grown stuff in my grown. Well, I didn't find out until I went to the OBGYN, and at that time he had told me that I was like 12 to 14 weeks already into my pregnancy. And he was the only man I had sex in that time frame. Because I didn't know nobody else.
Pregnant. We had only been together for no more than a month. How could Trayvon be my child?
Here it comes.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lacey, you are the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I told you. Now stand up, give my son his respect.
Get ready for a wild ride. The show kicks off with the judge diving straight into the drama, asking Ms. Butler to spill the beans about whether Mr. Wilson really is little Nyona's dad. Ms. Butler is all in, totally convinced that Nyona is his kiddo, setting us up for a roller coaster of a court session. You're not going to want to miss what comes next.
Or we go through all the trouble of hearing a ton of testimony. Why don't you just be honest, Ms. Butler, and let us know whether you really believe Mr. Wilson is Nyona's biological father?
I really feel like she's his. I do.
Things are heating up. Ms. Butler is sure that Nyona belongs to Mr. Wilson, but kind of wobbly about Zaria. This confession stirs up a whole pot of questions about both kids and what Mr. Wilson's deal is with them. Hang on, because it's about to get even juicier.
If you had to doubt one of the children, you really didn't know if Zariah's his, but Nyona you're pretty confident about?
Nyona's definitely yours.
You said that about the other one.
We just heard that same testimony, didn't we, Jerome?
Thought both of the kids was yours. We always had sex without no condom.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. The judge isn't pulling any punches, calling out Ms. Butler on her questionable mothering skills amid all the chaos. This serious chat really digs into the family mess and what's expected of a mom in this courtroom. And guess what? It only gets wilder from here.
Because I want to get the information on Nyona because I do want her to know who her biological father is. I'm disappointed, Ms. Butler. You a mother.
No, she's not at all. Don't have a clue what being the mother is.
I do love my kids.
Don't have a clue what being the mother.
And I do want to do better. I actually do.
Can you believe this? We dive into the soap opera of their relationship when Nyona was conceived. Mr. Wilson paints a picture of a not-so-cozy love nest with Ms. Butler, complete with other dudes and sneaky moves, complicating the whole "who's your daddy?" question.
What was this relationship then?
He was living in an apartment, so I would come over periodically, check on the kids. We might have sex sometime, but everybody in the apartment, everybody's running out the house, and I caught a guy over there one time. I knocked on the door. She's trying to hide a dude in the bathroom. Multiple occasions.
There was not multiple occasions.
Guys.
You only seen one.
I only seen it one time, but everybody tell me.
Boom! Drama bomb dropped. Mr. Wilson catches another guy at Ms. Butler's place right when Nyona might have been made. This juicy bit shakes up the whole paternity claim Ms. Butler has been making.
Just been my past. Then the guys in the apartment telling me,
he just been thinking and guessing.
I ain't been guessing.
That's all he been doing.
People don't know me like that. They wouldn't lie to me. Man, your baby mama, man, she gonna have this dude, that dude, you know.
So, Mr. Wilson, what happened when you found out pregnant with Nyona?
I told her it wasn't my baby.
You gotta see this. The judge tackles the sad reality that Mr. Wilson isn't really playing dad to Nyona, pointing out how this could mess up the little one. This heart-to-heart is all about how important it is for a dad to be in the picture. The next clip is a real tearjerker, or maybe not.
What kind of relationship does she have with Mr. Wilson?
None at all. He don't really come by to see her. Nothing really.
Can't come by. Too many men running in and out. Can't come by. I'm scared to go over there. I took him from her house and moved him in with me. I didn't want them kids to be around that man.
So you have the two kids,
my two kids
with your last name.
Yeah.
It's crunch time. As we gear up for the big DNA reveal, the room's buzzing with tension. The judge lays down the law, schooling both parents on how they're messing up big time. And just when you think it can't get more intense, we're about to drop the big news.
We're gonna find out right now because I'm about sick of y'all. I really am. This is just so ragged.
Yeah, it is ragged.
No, it really is. And you sitting up in here just talking like you on a playground somewhere. No, what? And listen to me. Stomach growing instead of your mind.
Here comes the moment of truth. The results are in, and bam.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Wilson, you are the father.
Mr. Lillard spills the beans on why he had to drag this case into court, all because of a bombshell message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt vents about her 20-year struggle to get Mr. Lillard to step up and take responsibility for Delvin. The segment wraps up with the judge seeking confirmation on the day's agenda, and Ms. Holt is like, "Yep, that's the plan, Your Honor."
Mr. Lillard, you say you were forced to open this case after receiving a message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt, you say you have unsuccessfully tried for 20 years to get Mr. Lillard to accept responsibility for your son, Delvin, and today is the day he is finally going to accept the truth.
Yeah. Mr. Lillard gets all nostalgic, revealing intimate details about his past. With Ms. Holt, turns out she was his first in a bunch of things. Cue the audience all. He reminisces about the love and heartbreak she brought into his life, sharing a glimpse into their deep yet rocky past.
I'm just saying, I had a lot of admiration for her, but it's also my first heartbreak, first person I really experienced what pain was. You know, it's not been no back and forth fighting over the years. It's been a very cordial thing. She made some mistakes that cost everybody a lot of pain right now, me and him.
Pain.
You know,
So, do with him.
Mr. Lillard uncovers the sticky mess of catching Ms. Holt cheating, sparking off a major drama. He tells a wild tale of skipping school and trekking 2 miles to confront her, culminating in a classic peek through the peephole moment.
Oh, this very sunny, bright day. Decided not to be at school. I left school, 2 miles to a family's home, knocked on that door, no answer. Looked through the peephole, shadows moving all around.
No.
Tiptoeing towards the door. So I parked myself on that concrete steady for 4 or 5 hours till they had to come out.
It wasn't even in there that long, so you...
Amid a fiery back and forth about who did what and who saw whom, Ms. Holt tries to set the record straight that it was just a friend at her place, not a lover. The conversation hits a peak when she admits to also testing another dude for paternity, thickening the plot.
Yeah.
Who was in the house with you?
That was just a friend. We was not in there for no 4 hours. Maybe it was like 10, 15
I left second
minutes.
period. Second period, that's early in the morning.
No, it was not.
So you got third period, fourth period, time, fifth period, and sixth period.
In this tearjerker segment kicking, Delvin steps into the spotlight to share his side of the story, talking about growing up without Mr. Lillard. His mom reinforces his belief about Lillard being the pops, priming us for some major revelations.
My mom has always told me he was my father. I just basically came here to let him know I don't need a father, but I just really want to come to find out if he is so I can have closure, me and my mom.
I mean, you can tell on the pictures. They look just alike. It's not a secret.
It really it hurt me a little bit. Any kid needs a father, you feel me?
The big reveal happens here.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lillard, you are not the father.
Okay, baby.
I had a boyfriend at the time.
The father
The
of
whole
the child came to my house, told me they got a DNA test with somebody else. So I moved on with my life. What else am I supposed to do after the head of your household comes to me?
Chris and I kept telling him that this is his child.
No,
you don't know what I
know
tell
what you
him.
phone.
That's what I sent to your
That's
phone,
what I
but you don't know what I
Well,
tell
at the
this
end of the day,
man.
don't see me
I've been
alive.
with him about what I tell him or what we discuss. But she ain't there and she don't know. I told him that child's father.
I've had a couple people tell me, hey, you know, Miss Bernari's out here cheating on you. And I find out she's sleeping on a couch with another guy naked, taking a shower with another guy. This whole time, I'm away. The times don't add up to when I came back for it to be my kid.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. A guy just waltzed into court claiming he's the long-lost dad of Ms. Brown, who's standing there with her mom, Alicia, looking like they've just seen a ghost. This dude, Mr. Hampton, who slid into her Facebook DMs claiming he's her daddy. Just when you thought your social media was drama-free, this saga takes it to a whole new level.
You or your adopted parents know about how things were, but I'll be more than willing to answer your questions.
Here comes Mr. Hampton, strutting in like he pregnant. All right, Mr. Hampton is now playing show and tell with some old toys and folks, because this mystery is about to get even juicier.
Do you have any proof of this?
The toys that I first bought her before they left, Your Honor, that's my daughter here, and that's her mother, Your Honor.
Things are heating up as Miss Alicia, Kayla's adoptive mom, recognizes a photo but calls BS on Mr. Hampton's story. It's like watching a tennis match with the back and forth between these two. You won't want to miss what's thrown into the mix next. It's a curveball.
Ms. Brown, is this a picture of you?
I think it's cash, while Ms. Brown has paperwork saying otherwise. Fasten your seatbelts. The revelations coming up are mind-blowing.
What are you? The paperwork you completed states there is an order for child support in Alaska and that the order names you as the father.
Are you ready for this? The big reveal is here. All right, strap in for this doozy. Mr. Johnson throws down the gauntlet, accusing Ms. Carr of yanking his chain about being daddy-o to her daughter for nearly 2 decades. He's all kinds of stirred up about the roller coaster of daddy drama. Ms. Carr claps back, claiming Mr. Johnson has been playing hide-and-seek with both a DNA test and his daddy duties.
Mr. Johnson, you say the defendant, Mrs. Carr, has been playing an emotional DNA game with you over her daughter's paternity for the past 18 years. You've brought her to court to finally end the game and prove you are not her daughter's biological father.
Hold on to your popcorn, because this plot twist is a real kicker. The courtroom dives into the nitty-gritty of Mr. Johnson and Ms. Carr's hit-and-run kind of fling. Mr. Johnson lays it out that they were barely a thing, just a one-night bender, which Ms. Carr totally disputes, saying there was more than one roll in the hay. The plot thickens as they untangle their brief and chaotic connection. Brace yourself, because the next bit is a real eyebrow raiser.
Take me back to the nature of this relationship.
My uncle married her auntie. They adopted her. I used to go over their house and help him out, like cutting grass grass and things of that nature, and I would stay the night. They would allow us to sleep in the same room. We had sex one time. It was a lot of touchy-feely before, and the one time we had sex, it was wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, that's not true.
You can't make this stuff up. The chit-chat swings to the aftermath of baby making, where Mr. Johnson was originally dubbed Daddy, only to get the psych, not your kid bomb dropped on him thanks to another guy's paternity test. This bombshell left Mr. Johnson out in the cold for years, marinating in confusion and a whole lot of what the heck. The saga continues, and oh boy, it's about to level up.
And then, once you had the baby, what did you do? Call him back and try
I
to
did not call him. I did not pursue him. I had a boyfriend at the time.
The father
The
of
whole
the child came to my house, told me they got a DNA test with somebody else, so I moved on with my life. What else am I supposed to do after the head of your household comes to me and tell me that...
Cue the surprise encounter. Years later, Mr. Johnson has a run-in at the grocery store with a little girl who calls him Daddy out of the blue. Talk about a plot twist. This unexpected daddy call pushes Mr. Johnson to demand a DNA test to clear up this family mystery once and for all. The drama intensifies, and you won't believe the curveball coming next.
Seeing the daughter in a grocery store, she run up to me like, Daddy, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hey, I want to say I'm not your daddy, but I can't tell this little girl this, you know what I'm saying? I recognize the family members, so I just assumed this was Miss
her.
May. But I'm confused as to why she's calling me daddy, asking for a DNA test. Like, no, you can't just say that she's my daughter without me getting a DNA test.
Grab your tissues because this part's a tearjerker with a twist of humor. Little Amber May, caught in the paternity pickle, shares her scant memories of Mr. Johnson, sprinkling in how she feels about being the odd one out in the daddy debacle. It's a poignant mix of sweet and sad as she unpacks her feelings of abandonment. Fasten your seatbelts because the emotional roller coaster is about to go off the rails.
Memories with Mr. Johnson. My 10th birthday, he threw me a party at the water park. I remember that. From summer after 5th grade, I remember that day because he made it in the house while all my cousins playing outside.
There was a lot of boys out there. She was the only girl.
I was not. Last time I saw Mr. Johnson was the 5th grade summer. It was probably around 2010.
And here's the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Buckle up, Buttercup. Mr. Vadaboncoeur kicks off the drama fest by trying to prove he's not the dad of Ms. Fernari's 1-year-old son, Dawson. He's pretty much saying he wants to ghost her forever once the DNA test says he's off the hook. Let's see how this baby daddy drama unfolds.
Mr. Vadaboncoeur, you have petitioned the court to prove to Ms. Fernari that you are not the biological father of her 1-year-old son, Dawson. You claim you can prove you're not father, and when today's results win your case, you want her out of your life for good.
All right, spill the beans. Mr. V, Mr. Vadaboncoeur breaks down his relationship with Ms. Fernari, if you can even call it that. We're talking a couple of Facebook flirts, and bam, baby talk. He's adamant it was just a brief fling, while she's in the back ready to narrate a full-blown soap opera saga.
Tell me about your relationship with Ms. Fernari.
Well, Your Honor, there was really never no relationship. I met her over Facebook through my sister, and after that, I had unprotected sex with her. I ended up going away probably 3 to 4 days later. Now, 6 months down the road, get a letter from my sister stating that Fernari's pregnant.
Hold the phone, folks. Ms. Fernari drops a truth bomb. Turns out she wasn't exactly waiting by the window while Mr. V was away. She admits to a side hustle with another dude, stirring up a whole can of who's the daddy worms. If you thought this was messy, just wait for the family to weigh in.
That I had sex with another guy while he was away.
Mr. Vadaboncoeur, what were you told?
I've had a couple people tell me, hey, you know Miss Fernari's out here cheating on you. And I find out she's sleeping on a couch with another guy naked, taking a shower with another guy. This whole time I'm away. The times don't add up to when I came back for it to be my kid.
Enter stage left, Ms. Janine Vadaboncoeur, the sister with the scoop. She's supposed to back her bro, but plot twist. She's testifying for Team Fernari. She dishes all the gossip about Ms. Fernari's escapades. Drama alert! What she says next could turn the whole case upside down.
You are a relation to Mr. Vadaboncoeur?
Yes, that's my brother.
Tell me what you know.
One night after we had all been drinking, she slept with one of the people that came to our little get-together. That's the only time I caught her cheating. I mean, I had suspicions, but...
Why? Because of her talking on the phone, or...?
Just different behaviors and stuff, and I told my brother that...
Grab your popcorn. This family feud is better than reality TV. We've got shouting, crying, and enough dirty laundry to keep a soap opera running. Each testimony is like a mini drama series, and nobody seems to agree on who did what or who saw whom. Make sure you're tuned in for the next revelation. It's a real jaw-dropper.
Were you sleeping with multiple men during the window of conception?
No, I wasn't, Your Honor. It's mutual. He cheated. They were cheating. It was back and forth. I know many times of him cheating on her. I know one time really of her. I don't know anything anything else. It was mutual. It was a very tumultuous relationship between both of them. It was like fire and ice with them.
It's crunch time and everyone's on edge. Mr. Vadaboncourt and Miss Fernery throw their last cards on the table, hoping to sway the DNA gods in their favor. The air's thick with anticipation and last-minute bombshells. Strap in, because the verdict is about to blow everyone's minds.
Is indeed determined that Mr. Vadbonker is Dawson's biological father. Where do you go from here?
I want him to be in Dawson's life.
You want him to be a father?
Yes, I want him to be a father.
And you will allow him. If he's not biological child, then what?
I'll go my separate way.
There's been so many times I have tried to do so many things. I think she has some kind of doubt in her mind, not mine.
We all know.
Well, the only way to move forward is to get the result.
Wait for it, and boom!
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Vadbonker, you are the father.
That's your son, David.
Fine.
You can stop it. You could be his dad.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Ms. Norris is throwing down, claiming Mr. Johnny D. Norris Sr. has been dodging the dad label for 22 years. She's betting all her chips that the DNA results will slap a father tag on him.
Ms. Norris, you claim Johnny B. Norris Sr. been denying he fathered your son for the past 22 years. You say today's paternity results will prove him wrong. Mr. Norris, you state that you've always known that Johnny Jr. is not your son, and today you believe the DNA finally proved it.
Here's a twist you didn't see coming. After popping out their son, Ms. Norris says they got hitched right in her dad's front yard. Talk about low-budget romance. But hold up, there's more to this soap opera just around the corner.
After having my son, we were married by my father, front yard. We had a yard wedding.
Shotgun wedding, y'all. When she came pregnant, I thought it'd be the right thing to do as far as marrying her. I was kind of forced into it due to the circumstance. But I loved her at the time, y'all. I don't deny that.
Forced. And as he said, we're in love. I know that I head over heels.
Can you believe the nerve? As the judge digs deeper, Mr. Norris drops a bomb. His mother-in-law was throwing shade about him being the dad from the get-go, which totally messed with his head.
Why does he deny your son?
That I don't know, Your Honor.
His grandmother said that I wasn't his father.
I don't believe that. If she did say that to him, it was because she was just so fed up.
At that time, you had just had your son and named him Junior.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes,
you
Your
named
Honor.
after Senior over here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Grab your tissues. This one's a tearjerker. Ms. Norris spills the beans about Mr. Norris bailing on their son's 8th birthday. Talk about bad timing. What comes next? More finger-pointing and jaw-dropping drama? That's what.
I was totally in love with Mr. Norris here. And on my son's 8th birthday, that is the last time we seen him. He left. He disappeared.
That's not how it happened at all. Actually, prior to his birthday, her and I wasn't getting along. There wasn't no need me hanging around. And like I said, she had been gone. You know, she'd be gone from time to time. So I was basically just there.
You won't believe this mess. The courtroom turns into a he-said-she-said battleground over cheating accusations. Mr. Norris claims he had to hightail it out of there because of Ms. Norris's alleged infidelities. Strap in, because the emotional roller coaster is just getting started.
But, Your Honor, he was the cheater.
You said she was cheating. She says you were cheating.
Yes, he was the cheater.
But why do you pick his 8th birthday to leave?
It wasn't on his birthday.
Junior, do you remember any of this?
Last time I seen this man, he shot me on my lap, let me know that he was parting ways. I don't remember in detail.
He parting ways with you or your mom?
Parting ways, he had to leave and he'll be back.
Things are getting real now. Ms. Norris is all in. No doubts about Mr. Norris being the pops. Meanwhile, he's reeling from the supposed gossip his mother-in-law spread. The next testimony, it's a real kicker. Stay tuned.
Was there any doubt with respect to the paternity?
No, ma'am, not for me. I've always knew he was his father.
And what about from Mr. Norris Sr.? Did he take care of Junior? Was he present in his life?
Up until the time
while he there,
his grandmother
he did
said
contribute.
that when she said he wasn't my son.
He never...
That put a dagger in my heart because I was a young man.
This is heavy, folks. Junior talks about how tough it was growing up dadless, which turned him into a bit of a rebel. It's raw, it's real, and it's a bit of a heart squeeze. But guess what? The biggest bombshell is just ahead.
What was life like growing up without your father? What was it like after that moment?
On the subject situation of my father not being there, induced a great deal of anger, upon me, and I acted out in different subject ways, as in got in a variety of fights. I was very rebellious.
Ms. Norris went detective mode to track down Mr. Norris years after he vanished. She's been holding a torch and a grudge, looking for some answers. And boy, does the next part drop a bomb.
When I decided to search for him, it was about 6 years ago, I believe. I had moved to Georgia with a friend. She helped me to go online. We were able to find a family member of Mr. Norris. I gave them a number to contact me. He did. I gave him an address for my son to write him and promised that he would, which that never happened.
Buckle up, here comes the big reveal.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Norris Sr., you are not his father.
I told you, Your Honor.
Guess who's back in court? Yep, Ms. Simmons strides in, claiming Mr. Burgess, the man with the wandering eye and a fiancé, got her pregnant and then ghosted. She's here to slap him with proof that he's the dad of her little boy, dropping a drama bomb right from the start.
Ms. Simmons claimed that the defendant begged you to have his baby, but then disappeared when you told him you were pregnant. So you're here to prove to Mr. Burgess and his fiancé that he is your son's father.
Oh, snap. Here comes Mr. Burgess with a plot twist. He throws back that their fling was just a short sizzle and accuses Ms. Simmons of trying to pin another dude's baby on him. The air's getting spicy with all these accusations flying around. Just wait for the next bit. It's a doozy.
Mr. Burgess, you say your relationship with the plaintiff was just a quick fling, and Ms. Simmons wants you to care of another man's baby.
Well, hello drama. We're diving into how these two met, and boy, it escalated quickly. From online chats to a turbocharged real-life hookup, they didn't waste any time. Ms. Simmons spills the tea on their quick move from hellos to the bedroom. Stick around. The fireworks are just about to start.
How did you get involved with a man almost twice your age?
We was talking online at first, and we was talking phone, and he had told me he's single and everything. Then we eventually started. I had came to his house and everything. First day I did come to the house, so we did have sex on the first day. So we just was kicking it ever since then.
Did you use protection?
We was using condoms, but they kept breaking, so we stopped using condoms.
Hold up, did he just say that? Judge Lake is on the case, grilling Mr. Burgess on his single status claim while he's clearly engaged. The courtroom's heating up with these sneaky revelations. You'll want to see what's coming. Trust me, it's worth the wait.
Mr. Burgess, did you tell her you were single?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You say you have a fiance?
Yes, ma'am.
If you were having sex and the condom kept breaking, is it that you can definitively say you are not Malachi's biological father?
I had my doubts, from her coming over there the first time I seen her, chopped it up as soon as she came over there.
How often did you have sex, Miss Simmons?
We was always having sex.
That's not true, Yum.
Get ready for a showdown. Ms. Simmons and Mr. Burgess can't agree on how often they were getting cozy. He says a few times. She says all the time. It's a he said, she said, with a side of sass. And oh, the next exchange? It's even juicier.
When I met online, I talked to her once or twice. I got her number. We went from there. 3 times, probably a week.
I was over there like almost every day. If I wasn't at school or I was at your house, how is it only twice or 3 times? Don't lie, because she's here.
And you say he's not telling the truth, Miss Simmons?
No, he lying. He lying. I was there almost every day. I was at his house all the time.
Maybe 3 times a week.
You a lie.
Here's a twist. Mr. Burgess pulls out a poster to chart their liaisons as if he's unveiling a secret weapon. He's trying to math his way out of paternity with timelines and quick maths. Grab your popcorn, because the next part is even more enthralling.
What proof do you have?
I can go to the poster here.
Mm-hmm.
See, 3 is meaning the first time she ever came to my house, it was within 3 hours of us having sex. That's very quick.
Numbers don't lie, you said.
One time that we actually had unprotected sex, one day she told me she was pregnant. She told me she was pregnant. The next day, she was like, I'm pregnant. I said, how you gonna know that? She was like, I know my body.
Can you feel the tension? As soon as the pregnancy bomb dropped, Mr. Burgess turned into Houdini, trying to vanish into thin air. His disappearing act didn't go unnoticed. And oh boy, the courtroom's about to get even more heated.
The day I took the pregnancy test, I had sent him a picture of the 2 pregnancy tests I took. So he was taking too long, I had called him. And when I spoke on the phone with him, I was going to school, I had a job, and I was like, I ain't ready to be nobody's mother. So he was like, yeah, don't cry. God know what he was doing, anything like that. So then that's when he had told me he was going to Alabama and everything. And I was like, what you going to Alabama for? And he's like, oh, I'm just going with some homies. Lies.
Enter stage left, Ms. Arnold, the fiancé with detective skills. She caught a whiff of the drama when she spotted Ms. Simmons' digits on her man's phone. What she found out next could fill a soap opera episode by itself.
I found out about her. I went through his phone. He came to Alabama to visit me one week. It came to the point to where we had to take him to the bus station to catch his bus to get back to Atlanta. He had to charge his phone up. But as soon as it comes on, 2 text messages pop up. He ended up falling asleep. And when I looked at the phone, the unknown number said, so this how you gonna do? You gonna send it me to the voicemail. So you just gonna stand me up. Call me when you get this message.
Just when you think it's all out in the open, the stakes are sky high as they hash out whether Mr. Burgess is playing daddy denial to keep his relationship afloat. But wait, there's more. The next reveal is a real jaw-dropper.
I petitioned this court for the paternity because of Chris and I kept telling him that this is his child. No, you don't know what I tell him. That's what I sent to your phone, but you don't know what I tell this man. I've been with him about what I tell him or what we discuss. But she ain't there and she don't know. I told him that child's father. And that's what we used to get into it about, because I kept telling him, how are we gonna deal with this situation?
And here comes the big reveal. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by the court. Mr. Burgess, you are the father.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Judge Lake kicks off the show. Miss Lawrence steps up with a doozy of a story, telling us about a family secret so big it could be its own reality show. She thought one dude was her dad for 28 years. Surprise, there might be another dad in the running. She's so serious about finding out, she's got a paternity test in hand.
Ms. Lawrence, you claim that 6 months ago, your mother shared a secret she'd kept from you your entire life. After 28 years believing one, you have petitioned the court for a paternity test. Find out if the man waiting outside of our courtroom today is indeed your biological father.
No kidding, this just got real. Miss Simmons, the mom, owns up to keeping mum about the whole dad drama. She spills the beans about bumping into an old flame, Mr. Rochemore, on a bus and dropping the maybe your dad bomb on him for the first time. The plot thickens, and oh boy, Mr. Rochemore is about to walk in.
Now, Miss Simmons, you admit to keeping a lifelong secret from your daughter. You claim you recently ran into an ex-lover on a bus. You say that for the very first time, told this man that he could be your daughter's dad. We'll meet him in just a few moments.
Talk about a soap opera twist. Miss Lawrence tells us how her mom, in between sobs and sniffles, broke the news over the phone about potential dad number 2. This call turned her world upside down, trashing their mother-daughter bestie status. Buckle up, because the emotional roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Called me about 6 months ago. When I answered the phone, she was hysterically crying, and of course, I didn't know what was going on. I'm asking her what's wrong, beating around the bush, telling me all these random stories. And then finally, she goes into saying that some random man on the bus and that he could possibly be my father.
You can't make this stuff up. Miss Simmons recounts that fateful bus meet, cute with Mr. Rochemore. Recognizing him from a mile away, she confirms it's him. They swap numbers and start reminiscing about the good old days. And then, bam, she hits him with the possible daddy news.
I ran into Rudy on the bus one day on the way from school. And I'm like, I know him, from my past. I've never forgotten him. I say, excuse me, what is your name? Is your name Rudolph? He says, yes. I say, Rudolph Rochemore. He says, yes, it is. He asks me, who are you? And I look at him like this. I'm like, for real? Really? And I'm like, I'm Yvette.
This is where it gets juicy. In the courtroom, Miss Simmons dives deeper into her bus convo with Mr. Rochemore, revealing she hinted at him possibly being the daddy. This is major, folks, setting us up for the big reveal. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. It's a doozy.
In the conversation with Rudolph, I told him it's a possibility that I may have your child.
What was his response?
I said, what would make you think that it's my daughter? I say, because there's really no resemblance, the man that she calls her father.
I just want to know why you didn't tell me before.
I had no idea.
Grab your tissues and maybe some popcorn. Miss Lawrence vents big time about feeling betrayed after learning the truth from her mom. The bond she thought was unbreakable, with her mom now has more cracks than a sidewalk. What's next? Oh, you'll want to stick around for the bomb they're about to drop.
It hurts a lot. I never really knew that she felt like that. Me not telling her was because I didn't want to hurt her.
You didn't think that it would hurt me more now than it would
I never thought I would run into him, thought I would see him again.
But that's what I want to know too. Even if you didn't see him, I don't know.
And here comes Mr. Rochemore, stepping into the spotlight for the first time. The air's thick with tension as he and Miss Lawrence size each other up. He admits there might be a resemblance, and everyone's on the edge of their seats. Next up, the DNA results. Are you ready for this, Jelly?
When you look at her today, do you feel like this could be a real possibility?
I could see some resemblance by the eyes.
Miss Lawrence, how do you feel right
I have butterflies in my stomach. I really do. I don't feel like there's any attachment or could be my dad.
Here it comes, a moment of truth.
When it comes to 29-year-old Shatika, Mr. Rochemore, you are her father.